Deception is a right. Truth is a privilege. Innocence is a luxury. Born of the US government's 1928 raid on the degenerate coastal town of Innsmouth, Massachusetts, the covert agency known as Delta Green opposes the forces of darkness with honor, but without glory. Delta Green agents slip through the system, manipulating the federal bureaucracy while pushing the darkness back for another day, at a shattering personal cost. Delta Green is about fear. It may seem to be about other things from time to time, about manipulation, about power, about control. You'll see all of these things, but that's not what this game is about. It lies. Delta Green is about an agent, alone and off the record, breaking into an old woman's house in Brooklyn because, for a split second, she cast the shadow of a hunched, monstrous thing with jaws like a jackal. Delta Green is about two women who pulled off the heist of the Mayan Codex from the American Museum of Natural History, an operation 6 months in the planning, just so they could burn it in a pyre of gasoline and woods in an abandoned field, mourning their lost teammates who were driven to madness. Delta Green is about watching from the Black Hawk jump seat as something bigger than the forest snatches your strike team's helicopters from the air like flies. Delta Green is not about guns. Delta Green is not about a bug hunt. Delta Green is not about understanding. Delta Green is about the end. The end of everything. Your family, everyone you know, your country, all life on Earth. It's about the end of everything and your place in it. Welcome to Delta Green Eyes Only, an actual play series presented by DM Fiat. I am your handler, DG or Dale, and I will be your guide through this game of desperate measures, of increasing madness, of thankless souls fighting against things they cannot define. You're all here because the five of you have peered behind the curtain, saw things that you were not meant to see, and this is what put you on the radar of Delta Green. This is what marked you for recruitment. And that's why you're here today. 5 people from different walks of life, trying their best to press on ahead with their normal existence, forgetting about the things they've seen. Until, on September 18th, 2014, you all received a text message from an unknown number, containing nothing but a time and a place. An address for what turned out to be the post office in Lincoln, New Hampshire. Small city of just over 20,000 people. A place where, if not summoned by this mysterious message, neither of you would ever have had any reason to be. Plane tickets were booked in your names, and after making excuses to your families, to your jobs, you simply disappeared. 48 hours later, at 2 p.m, on the 20th of September, you meet for the first time, here in a featureless, windowless, grey boardroom in the dark back reaches of the Lincoln post office. You silently acknowledge each other as you take your seats around the table, and in the room with you is A slightly sinister-looking man with silver, wiry hair. He's tall and thin, wearing a suit that fits wrong on his frame, either too baggy, too long, or too tight, all of these things simultaneously. He holds a clipboard in one hand, and with his other hand, he pushes the frame of his glasses up his face as he studies each of you. "I'm Mr. Green," he says, introducing himself. "I'll be your handler, your case manager, and all correspondence from my organization, our organization, that you receive will be through me indefinitely." Clears his throat as he flips the page of his clipboard and begins to read a dossier for each of you. Let's introduce your characters. First, played by Eden, we have...
Yeah, g'day. I'm Tabs. Fuck, what to say about me? I mean, I've been Look, I was in the military, Australian, for a while, and after deployment, I moved to the US, and now I work in a security firm. It's pretty chill.
Good voice, by the way. Tabitha Greenspan, he says, nodding as his eyes narrow on your file. Deployed with the Australian Army. Tour of duty from 2007 to 2011. While you were deployed, you and your squad, while attached to an American squadron for a joint operation, witnessed something you cannot explain. Your file states you saw geometric shapes that manifested out of thin air and tore your comrades to shreds. We debriefed you at the time, but foreign national, we couldn't recruit you. Then you became a naturalized citizen in the US, started working freelance security, and we scooped you up, says here. Until recently, you were part of T-Cell. You were involved in the ill-fated Operation Bayou. As he says this, he raises an eyebrow. Well done, getting through that.
Thank you, sir.
Looks like you'll have a lot to show these newbies. Hopefully, what I'm about to task you with today won't be anything as traumatic as what you experienced down in New Orleans in 2012.
I'm sure I'll be alright.
Next, we have Glitch, who is playing...
So I'm going to be playing Cass. Cass Tillman. She's a project manager for a rather large construction company, Holloway Constructions. She's been a vital part of a number of major works, so like bridges, buildings, a lot of corporate work though. Being a project manager, she spent most of her time behind a desk, organizing systems and people and paperwork and firing people and hiring people and organizing things with HR. Her ponytail's on a little bit too tight.
Sandra Tillman, desk jockey, Well, says here in your file, you were part of a project extending a highway through your local city. Highway happened to cut across a native reservation, and in the process of clearing the land for the highway, your team unearthed something your file describes as a carved tablet with unidentifiable symbols. Being the project manager, they called you in to investigate, to see what was going on and give the green light to continue, and when you arrived that night, He flips the page. In your own words, a bright light in the darkness, flitting around, burning all who touched it to a charred crisp. Your security staff shouted at you to keep away, hide, run, and you did. And you were the only one to emerge unharmed when the sun rose that morning. Welcome. Next, we have Kit, who is playing...
I keep expecting you to introduce us, and I still won't catch on to that being the thing.
Yeah, it tripped me up.
So, my character is Adrian Ballard. Shit, I'm doing it now. It is an archaeologist, specifically works for like a state institution, kind of dealing with the sort of boring bullshit that you have to do when you dig up things and put in new roads. He's the one who's like cataloging everything. He's very skittish looking, very uncomfortable, and just kind of waves with a frankly unsettling grin, and kind of sighs and is like, these seem to be very interesting stories that you're telling. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing here, if this is the case.
Adrian Ballard, indeed. Your file lists your incident as taking place quite a while ago. You were a teenager, it says, held hostage by the family computer. A force unknown, which made you its thrall, speaking to you through the screen. I'm reading it took a team of 4 agents to finally pry you away, and what a state you were in. Your parents, of course, whether through natural causes or something unexplained, did not make it through. Perhaps the ghost in the machine, enforced its will over them, much as it had you. Your file lists that you're... He smiles. Not very amenable to technology.
I find that we over-rely on such things at this point. It's, there's nothing that we can do with a computer that we can't do with some good old-fashioned pen and paper, I think.
Too right.
Leaves a lot less room for error.
Mr. Green pushes the frame of his glasses up again and he smiles, saying, that line of thinking may be less backward than you think in this organization. You might be carried very far with that mindset. Next, we have Paradox playing...
Joey Lynch, a sort of early 30s man, short cut, brown hair and a fairly tidy beard.
Joey Lynch. Internal Revenue Service, IRS, a tax man. How amusing. Says you're here because you followed a trail of strange transactions. Thought you were about to book someone for tax fraud. You and your partner turned up at the person of interest's home, found the house entirely empty, made entry, and found no trace of the man you were after, save for a conspicuously human-shaped stain on the sofa, pile of ash on the floor. It was the strangeness of the transactions that drew your attention. $1,001, then 2002 the next week, 3003 the next, culminating at 6006, and then no more. Well, you'll be cooking the books, and that will be very useful, he says, as he turns to the last person in the room, and we have Demiurge playing.
I'm Mary Smith with a Y. And you're looking at a short, stout woman with cafe au lait skin. She's got thick glasses and a face that looks like the lines of worry are engraved into it, but even though she can't be older than 30. She's wearing a very modest sweater and a simple skirt, and she's been drumming her loafer on the floor. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about, if you're supposed to say what brought me here. They said it was sealed.
He peers down at your file.
I can tell you what happened if you want me to.
Triage nurse, psychiatric hospital, yes. I can make a guess, but sure, why don't you share for the group in your own words?
Okay, so you're cleared for... Okay. I was working late until the midnight shift, and then the clock started running backwards, and things started happening in reverse. I mean, it wasn't exact reverse. It wasn't like watching an old videotape in reverse. It was the man who came in said the same thing he had said when he came in, and he went out again. And then the dead man sat up, and and walked out the door, and the shooter put his gun back in his holster, and he... It was 5 minutes. It was only 5 minutes. But it was like it didn't happen. Nobody else remembered.
Nods.
Nothing.
Purses his lips.
But the cameras recorded it.
The agents we sent had to remove all electronic surveillance from your workplace. The only evidence it ever happened at all says here, temporal anomaly, possible hypergeometry.
I don't know why I remembered it. I think I'm the only one that did. I don't know why.
Indeed.
I don't know why.
Nor do we, and well, that's why you're here. In some cases, that could mean you're lucky. In other cases, well, I won't lie to you, it could mean you're a magnet for trouble. It remains to be seen. He folds the front page over the clipboard, clears his throat, and then reaches into the fold of papers and passes around a Polaroid picture of a middle-aged white man with long grey hair. He seems to be at some sort of family function, a barbecue. There's a little girl on his knee as he sits at a wooden picnic table, and in the background you can just make out the edge of a barbecue. He's wearing a white apron that says "Kiss the Chef" on the front. Once you've all had a good look, Mr. Green reaches out, snatches the photo back, and slides it back into his pile of dossiers.
I haven't seen a Polaroid in years.
Indeed, this was taken 1993, according to my file. It's a picture of Clyde Bowman. He was active with our organization. And very recently took his own life. And that will be your first assignment. Clyde Bowman's heirs are expected at his apartment within 48 hours. His apartment is here in the city of Lincoln. We want you to gain access to his residence, catalog his belongings, and ensure anything he has that hints at his involvement with our organization or alludes in any way to the existence of unnatural things is not there when his inheritors arrive.
Cleanup job, got it.
Standard cleanup job. We're not expecting any trouble on this one. It's more of a test of whether you can follow protocol and make the right judgment calls. And so, henceforth, with the authority invested in me by Alphonse and A-Cell, I hereby christen you K-Cell, and you are activated. Operatives of Delta Green. Delta Green, as you know, is our organization dedicated to investigating and containing unnatural phenomena. Here. This will illuminate the situation for you. He reaches. Go ahead, Tabs.
Hoping it won't be needed, but permission to carry a sidearm, sir?
Well, as I understand it, you, working security, and Joey Lynch here, IRS agent, have your sidearms from your day jobs. And, of course, Tabs, I'm familiar with your file, and your special has already been requisitioned and is in the trunk of the rental car, usual spot. We're not expecting any trouble, but you know how these things go.
She just nods.
He
So what's the
reaches.
advice for actually getting this done? Is this a breaking and entering kind of thing, or are you going to give us a key?
Well, you have a key, but there will be things you'll need to think of under your own power.
I suppose what I'm asking is this supposed to be something that's never seen, or do we make it look like somebody's done something to the apartment?
We would prefer if nobody knew you were there, but we understand this may not be always possible. And so, if you are spotted, it'll be up to you to determine what your cover is. You have an IRS agent with you, so I would suggest you pose as liquidators. Tell any brown nosers that you're cataloging Mr. Bowman's possessions to settle a debt he had with the city government or something like that, but if things go well, you won't need a cover. Here, take a look at this, he says as he reaches once more into his pile of papers and extracts a dossier for the mission, and I'm putting it up in Owlbear Rodeo for you, so you can read along.
Oh shit, I didn't get the link.
It's I'll post it again.
Sir.
Thank you.
I'll post it again. There we go, because I still have it on my clipboard, luckily. You unfold the white piece of paper he hands you. Big red letters in bold at the top read, "Sensitive program document. Please destroy after reading." It's stamped "Eyes only." Summary of a report on Clyde Bowman. Date of birth, 28th of the 3rd, 1945. Family, wife, Marlene, born 20th of the 8th, 1948. Deceased, 2002. Daughter, Sharon, born 12th of the 9th, 1967. And son, Michael, born 28th of the 7th, 1974. Occupation, Bureau of Internal Revenue, later IRS, from the 11th of the 6th, 1965 to 1st of the 9th, 1999. Retired as Assistant Deputy Commissioner for Operational Support. Affiliation, active with the program from 1987 to 1995, taking part in 11 operations. Details unavailable. Numerous consultations with a specialty in taxation and property confiscations. No current association with program. At the bottom are a list of the operation directives. Proceed to residence of Clyde Bowman. Remove any evidence of program affiliation or activities. Bowman's heirs are expected within 48 hours of briefing. Make sure everything is clean by then. Involve no one else in this operation. Meet at rendezvous point in 48 hours. Rendezvous point at 48 hours of the report. And as you read this, Mr. Green just nods and says, that'll be this room here. If you find evidence that Bowman violated program security, report it. Now, Bowman was fairly judicious in his keeping of secrets, says Mr. Green. We're not expecting there'll be much for you to clean up at all. This is mostly a formality. But anything you find, I will leave it up to your discretion, whether you destroy it, sequester it to myself during the debriefing, or relocate it to a safer location. A vehicle has been provided for your use while you're here in Lincoln. If you require assistance, there is a phone in the vehicle. It's a burner phone. At the end of this operation, it will be deactivated. There is one number in the phone. You may use it to call me, but only once. Once you've made the call, we'll deactivate the telephone's service. Contact me only in the case of an emergency. Understood? Everything
Understood.
top secret. Well then, K-Cell. Your first assignment, Operation Aftermath, is active as of now. I wish you the best of luck. And I'll see you again in 48 hours.
Mary's hand goes up.
He's about to step out of the room, but he stops in the doorway, turns and faces you. Yes?
I was just told to drive up here, and nobody answered me when I asked if I'd need a hotel room. I mean, I could get one, but I really hadn't planned for this, and it's a little bit before my payday. Is there a way? I guess I could put it on one of the cards, but
You can bunk with me.
Operation
do
expense.
you have a place?
Tabitha's
Oh, I
always
can handle
prepared.
myself.
Tabitha's always prepared. This is not a new song and dance for her. All operational expenses are reimbursed by the organization. We're giving you 48 hours to do this operation, but truth be told, I'm not expecting it to take that long. You probably will be on your way home before you know it. If you
That's
do
really
need to, if you do need to crash somewhere overnight, Tabitha's got you sorted, or Mr. Bowman's apartment should be fit for purpose.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hold on, before you leave, what are we looking for? Do you have like a bill of materials or anything?
You'll know it when you find it, he says. Anything that should not be, anything that points to the existence of our organization, anything with our insignias, anything with reference to our shell companies, and anything that alludes to the operations that Bowman would have been part of. It's hard to say exactly without knowing what he has in his possession, but I'm confident you'll recognize it when you find it, and it'll be up to you how you deal with it.
Right, okay. I mean, that makes sense, but still very disorganized.
Indeed. We had to scramble for this operation at the last possible moment. We wouldn't even know he'd taken his own life if one of our friendlies in the emergency services hadn't contacted us, so we're scrambling to get this done before his heirs arrive and potentially cause trouble.
Tabs just claps her on the back and says, just think of it as ad hoc.
Ad hoc, exactly. And if
I
you're
don't
going to
like
have
ad
it,
hoc.
well,
The poor
that's
man.
why you're here, to make this run a bit smoother and use the resources at hand to create a more favorable outcome. If you'll excuse me, I have people I need to report to. I suggest you get started right away. The folder there contains the keys to Bowman's apartment and the key to the vehicle you've been assigned. It's parked in the garage at the end of the block. Good luck, everyone. He smiles, nods one last time, and then steps out of the room, leaving you in the silent boardroom alone.
All right. Well, any
Instead
questions?
of the phone number, there would be like a P.O. box or something I can use if I need to contact someone. I don't like to have my phone out that much.
I should probably add you all to my phone.
Don't do that.
Okay.
I mean, if you like, I've got some radios in the car.
Eh,
And so,
it's fine.
Okay.
these newbies into shape, Tabs. And so,
Do some work.
a few minutes later, you're walking across the concrete expanse of an underground car park towards your assigned vehicle. It doesn't look anything special. It's a plain black station wagon of late 2000s make, the type of vehicle you'd expect to see a soccer mum in the suburbs using to drop her kids off at school. Tabs is the one who reaches out, presses the button on the keypad, and unlocks the car. You hear a loud click, and the car beeps once, twice, 3 times as the lights turn on. The only thing on the car, the only identifying material on the car at all is a bumper sticker on the back bumper advertising a local rental service. LincolnRentabomb.com. Paperwork is folded, neatly stashed in the dashboard, indicating that the car has been rented to a Tobias Green and will be in your service for 48 hours. As Tabs promised, there's 5 radios charging in a cradle on the back seat. And Tabs, before you do anything else, you pop open the boot of the car, slide away the felt covering at the bottom, and sure enough, in the usual spot, as promised by Mr. Green, find a fairly beefy looking military grade tactical shotgun.
That's the question I was going to ask you. Okay, cool. I've put Spaz 12 in the
Yeah.
sheet.
Classic.
Full magazine inserted, more than enough to most people to deal with any trouble, but in your experience, it may not be enough at all.
Also, for the sidearm, you specified 9mm, so I went the Glock
9mm.
19
That'll
because it's small for concealed carry.
Yeah. In fact, you're carrying it on your person now. You carry it on your person at all times, and it's concealed where no one can see it. Joey's firearm, on the other hand, bit more obvious. You can see the holster on his belt, but he's wearing his IRS uniform. He's got his badge on display, and doesn't look out of the ordinary carrying it around. So, who's going to drive?
Well, Tabs.
Tabs, of course. Tabs slides confidently into the driver's seat, waits a moment for you all to pile into the car, and then turns the key. The engine roars to life, and Tabs gracefully guides the car out of the parking lot onto the streets outside.
Now, those are handheld transceivers there. They're very special equipment. Got to learn how to use them.
You'll slide a radio out of the cradle.
I'm just fucking with you. They're walkie-talkies. Press the button on the side, talk.
You see the
Cass is
You know
already
how they
starting
work.
to Cass is already starting to scrutinize it, seeing like where the possible complication could be. Because there's just one big red trigger on it.
Yeah. You
Just
see
stick to
the
channel
big
5. You won't need anything. You probably won't even need to use them.
only if you get separated, but it's standard issue for every operation. You see the big red button that Tabitha points out, and even for you, Adrian, it should be simple enough to use, but still holding this thing in your hand, you wonder why your voice won't suffice, why you can't just call out to someone in another room if you need to.
Okay, I guess we don't need to use phones if we've got these.
And yet,
Preferably not.
sure enough, there in the dashboard of the station wagon is a 1999 Nokia monophonic mobile phone. It has exactly enough call credit to make one call, and there's only one number stored in its contacts. It's simply listed emergency only.
Sure.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah, how far away is this place?
How far away is this
Far.
place?
Not far at all.
Yeah, not far.
It's about 20 minutes later, you find yourself arriving at Bowman's address. It's an inconspicuous apartment building in a declining working class neighborhood. The building is a jarring example of early 1960s design. Brightly coloured atomic era loudness, yet somehow blocky and drab at the same time. I'm going to put a picture up in Owlbear Rodeo of what the building looks like so you can get an idea. The apartment tenement is shaped like the letter U. It surrounds a central parking lot that Tabs glides the station wagon into, finds a parking spot right in front of apartment 117, Bowman's address, and kills the engine. The U-shaped building runs along the perimeter of the central parking lot, and there are 8 apartments on each of the 2 floors for 16 apartments altogether. Each apartment has a single glass bay window looking out onto the courtyard, and the doors themselves are painted in an array of bright colours from orange, red, blue, and yellow. It's the sort of place that back in the 1960s would have been cutting edge, but now it's a place well, it seems fitting that this is where Clyde Bowman took his life. You think it's a place where people down on their luck come to wait to die. As you alight from the vehicle and start to make your way across the parking lot to Clyde's apartment, I will ask, does anyone have a SIGINT skill of 30 or higher?
I've got 0.
I've got 80.
80.
I don't think I.
Remind me what SIGINT is.
Signals Intelligence it stands for.
Nope, that's 0.
Signals.
Yeah.
Wait, if yours is 80, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Joey, with your SIGINT skill of 80, you
became the hacker.
immediately notice as you step out onto the parking lot that there are 2 security cameras watching over the parking lot. One mounted to the balcony that hangs just above the first row of apartments in front of you, and another one behind you, hanging from the mirroring balcony. They don't appear to be watching any of the apartments themselves, but these two cameras seem to have a very good vantage point of the central parking lot. You would have been recorded on camera, almost certainly, pulling in and stepping out of the vehicle, and assuming there's anything you need to remove from Bowman's apartment, the cameras would probably capture you ferrying it back to the car as well. With your SIGINT knowledge, Joey, it seems pretty likely to you that a small apartment block like this, the setup is probably not that advanced. There's a utility closet or a superintendent's office somewhere on premises where these cameras are likely sending their feed to. It'd be a fairly simple matter of finding it and shutting them off if you wanted to do that. But for now, you haven't done anything inconspicuous.
On that note, what would jimmying a lock be?
So that would be dexterity, unless you are using a specific method of picking the lock.
Okay.
But for most cases, it'd be just a dexterity. You do have the key to Bowman's apartment, though.
Yeah, just thought I'd ask for now.
As you fish it out of the little white envelope and stick it into the lock of apartment 117, it fits perfectly. You twist the key to the left and hear the door click as it unlocks. Is there anything anyone would like to do before you set foot inside the apartment?
Well, when we do step foot inside, Towers will do a basic room clear, even though it's not necessary.
Yeah. So, Tabs, what is your alertness?
Alertness is 60%.
Okay. Everyone else, what would you like to do?
Mary will pull out her phone and start recording.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because cameras don't lie. She's learned that.
Yeah.
Whoa, what do you think you're doing?
Trying to make sure we don't miss anything. I'll delete it once we're done.
Okay, well, I'm going to need you to turn off any soul reception on that thing, okay?
Of course.
Thank you.
And goes into airplane mode as Mary follows Tabs across the threshold into the dimly lit apartment. Cassandra, Joey, Adrian, anything you'd like to do before stepping over the threshold?
Not especially. Cass just tightens her ponytail beyond natural limits and readies a pen and paper.
Shit, maybe that's the anomaly, is her ponytail. It's just non-Euclidean.
I will ask, out of Mary, Joey, everyone who's not Tabs, basically, do any of you have a search of at least 30?
No.
I have a 60.
60.
Damn.
So and Mary?
I've got a 40.
So Mary and Adrian are the ones who notice as everyone else steps over the threshold, leaving you two as the last to step into the apartment. You stop and peer down the concrete footpath, down the row of apartments before 117. Apartments 111, 112, 113, and between 113 and 114, there's a single grey door. It's unmarked and looks to be the entrance to some sort of utility closet wedged between two of the apartments. And Adrian, with your higher search, you clearly notice the little sticker up on the top right corner of that metal door that has a line drawing of a security camera on it.
Adrian is going to point this out. Like, I think the guts of the cameras might be in there if you one of you would like to go dig around in there. I find it a little bit too morbid.
Anyone good with that?
Sounds like that's Joey's area of expertise, right?
Think so.
Yeah, I can go.
Joey?
So Joey,
Yeah, I can go take a look. Yeah.
You have a
Cheers,
sig
mate.
int, you have a sig int of 80. Do you have computer science?
Yes, computer science 70.
70. So as the others proceed into the apartment, you make your way to the metal door. It's obviously some kind of utility closet, and as you go to open it, I'd like you to just go ahead and roll me a D100 for a luck check, please.
Yeah.
Anything above 50 is a success. Luck is not a distinct stat in Delta Green like it is in Call of Cthulhu. It's just assumed your luck is always 50.
And also, as Joey was as we were all preparing to enter the room, Joey took out a pair of gloves and just put them on as he was getting ready to go in, because
Slides
part
them on.
of the brief was also we're not supposed to be known we're here, so. That is a 76.
26. So your luck is not turning out well right from the start, I'll say. Wait, I said above 50. I meant below 50, so yeah, that's a failure. So, Joey, you're good at SIGINT. You're good at tapping phones, monitoring people's communications. A lot of people conceal tax fraud this way, and you'd quite easily be able to either turn the cameras off or simply download the footage. If the utility closet wasn't tightly locked, you turn the rusty handle and the door just refuses to budge there in its frame.
Goddamn low tech piece of crap, and just kicks at the door a little bit.
Kick at the door? You kick at the door and...
Mate.
Hmm?
That's it's a little conspicuous, isn't it?
Yeah, Tabs hears the sound of him kicking the door.
Right, yeah.
Trying to be a little bit, covert here, yeah?
Would you like to handle this, Joey? Probably wouldn't be the first time you've had to pick a lock, although you're not especially skilled at it.
No.
If you would like to try and pick it, though, I will ask you to go ahead and roll me your dexterity.
As this is all going on, Tabs just says, "Now, Mary, I do trust you, but that phone, I'm going to need to take it after the op, just for a little bit, all right?"
What are you going to do?
Oh, nothing. I'm not going to do anything. I just have to make sure I'm not taking...
Jan, I told her I didn't know how long she'd have to take Michael. I need to call her after this is done.
You can call her, that's fine. I just need to make sure. It's just protocol that I have to make sure that the footage gets to, those in charge without going anywhere else. Now, I do trust you, but it is protocol.
Just going to delete it, but okay. Okay.
Thank you for your understanding. Now,
Joey,
does anyone spot anything?
Well, I'll get to that in a moment. Joey, how'd you go on your dexterity roll?
That was a fail. It was another 76.
Fail? Well, the good news is the lock is not particularly sophisticated. You slide a lockpick out from the breast pocket of your jacket, insert it into the lock and jiggle it around, and after a few attempts, you manage to get it open. The bad news is that, well, you're not particularly skilled at this. You're not a cat burglar, and so as you jimmy the lock, there's a loud crack, and the door just sort of flings open towards you. You jump backwards to avoid being hit by it, and the door just slams into the brick wall with a loud crash. On the other side of the door, you can peer into the utility closet. There's a fuse box that seems to handle the power for all of the apartments, and plugged into an outlet underneath it is a fairly old-looking laptop. The camera feed is open on the screen. It's a real-time feed of the car park. And with your SIGINT and your computer science, I'll say you have either the option to just turn the cameras off, or you can attempt to scrub the footage, see if it picked up anything from the last couple days concerning Clyde Bowman's unfortunate suicide.
Yeah. I think, yeah, he'd probably try to attempt to scrub it to try and find some information.
You hunch over the laptop and begin speeding through the last 48 hours or so of footage on 5 times speed. What is your intelligence score?
The base score, not the
Yeah,
percentage.
the base score.
15.
15? Yeah, I'd say that's high enough. And if it's not, you do have a fairly high search. So, it doesn't... You first decide to go with the most obvious place. You know that Clyde Bowman took his life within the last 48 hours, so you zoom to when, according to Mr. Green, it probably would have happened, and you find yourself playing back a chunk of footage recorded in the middle of the night, the day before yesterday. It's a view of the parking lot, almost completely empty, everything dark, the only light, the ambient light from the street lights out on the street. The couple of cars that are parked there are nothing more than black shapes in the shadow. And then you see it. You're watching. You can't quite see apartment 117, but you can intimate where it lies just off screen. And at exactly 1:33 a.m., your eyes widen as you see what looks like short, slender shadow dart across the parking lot, ducking between the cars, moving with blinding speed towards apartment 117. You slam your thumb down on the enter key, pausing the footage, and manage to catch the shadow, whatever it is, mid-movement. It's a blur. You can't really make out any fine details. It may as well be a smudge on the camera lens, but if it's human-shaped, that bit at the top of the smudge would be its face, and you think you can see something there. You think you can make out the shape of wire-framed glasses. A wrinkled face that simultaneously looks kindly and sinister, like someone's grandmother. But it could just be a smudge. The longer you stare at it, the more it seems to fall apart, the more your mind seems to deconstruct it, leaving nothing but undifferentiated shapes behind. Place your thumb on the enter key and resume the footage. The shadow darts off camera towards apartment 117, and then, almost exactly 60 seconds later, a flash of light rings through the parking lot. A gunshot. Clyde Bowman has met his end. There's nothing more in the footage, nothing more that would be of interest to you or anyone else. You're not sure what the footage has recorded here, but you know this is definitely not something that Mr. Green would want left behind for the apartment tenement staff to stumble upon later. I'll ask you two things. First is I'd like you to make a sanity check for me, please.
Ooh. Oh, we got a 34 this time.
34, that's a pass. You lose 1 point of sanity. For a brief moment, your mind flashes back to that human shape burnt into a sofa, that pile of ash on the floorboards in someone's house. But this isn't like that. Can't be like that. What would you like to do with this footage, Joey?
I think you'd first attempt to download that part of the footage onto a USB, or a thumb drive, sorry, and then once it's done that, and then try and scrub the network of it.
Sure. Takes a few minutes to download that chunk of footage, and then once you're sure you've got it on your thumb drive, you simply delete the last 48 hours of recording up until the Sal's station wagon rolls into the parking lot. It's still recording, though. Do you take this opportunity to turn the cameras off entirely?
Yeah.
Masking any sign that you ever hear. You disable the feed, and then stand up, close the lid on the laptop, and carefully shut the door of the utility closet behind you. Jogging down the concrete path to rejoin the others in apartment 117. Meanwhile, Tabitha is leading the others over the threshold, scanning, doing a quick room check of the apartment. And Tabitha, what was your alertness? 60, I believe?
Yeah.
So, Tabs. The interior of Bowman's small apartment is spartan and grim. Aside from a thin layer of cigarette smoke coating the plaster walls and the bench tops in the kitchen, there's scant evidence that anyone actually lived here. Just inside the door, there's a ring of labelled keys hanging from a hook. The labels read car, holiday, spare kids 2, and miscellaneous. You quickly sweep the apartment and determine that there's a main living area, which is attached to the entrance, a kitchenette adjoined to that, and then there's a hallway that branches off from that. There's a bathroom and 2 bedrooms. One of the bedrooms appears to have been used by Bowman as its intended purpose, a bedroom. The other bedroom's been repurposed into a makeshift study, lined with filing cabinets and bookshelves. But there doesn't appear to be anything immediately suspicious in any of the rooms. A more detailed search will be required.
Yeah, that tracks. Well, she's just going to start going through drawers methodically.
Any room in particular you start with?
Just front to back, because
Front to back.
like if you want to do a full suite,
Yeah.
there's no real point prioritizing anywhere.
Starting with the lounge room. All right. Adrian, Cassandra, and Mary. What would you like to do?
Actually, I'm pretty sure Tabs would tell them what to do.
Yeah, what would Tabs tell them to do?
She's gonna. All right, everyone, pick an end of the house. Start just searching for any documents, anything suspicious. Just methodically comb through. Meet in the center. All right.
Yeah, pick a room and go. Any objections?
No, it's a good plan.
No, that's fine.
All right. The only question I have then is what room? Mary, there's a bathroom, a bedroom, a study, and a kitchenette waiting for you.
Study. I know files. Files are good.
Those are good. Cassandra,
She'll take the bathroom.
bathroom, and Adrian,
You'll take the
bedroom,
Kitchenette.
I suppose. Kitchenette, yeah. All right.
So, Joey.
As Joey steps through the threshold into the apartment.
Yep.
In the event that we have to use our cover story, I'm going to be calling you Mark. Okay.
Mark, okay, got it.
Thanks, mate.
Mark, and Joey, you're the last one into the apartment, so you don't get to pick a room. You get what's left, which is, in this case, the master bedroom. So, we'll start with the bathroom first, which would be Cassandra. Cassandra, you step into the bathroom. It's in a disturbed state. There's a broken towel rack, a cracked shower door, a few fragments of a broken ceramic toothbrush holder swept into a corner. You also register, as you step into the bathroom, faint traces of strange smell, like blood, but not prominent. The faintest trace of what Mary or Tabs would recognize as the smell of death.
As you're looking, you just hear from outside the room. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask.
So, Cassandra, what are you doing in the bathroom? Is there any particular method of search you're conducting? Anything in particular you're looking for?
I feel like she'd be looking for just anything that seemed out of the ordinary. Like, obviously, a toothbrush or a bar of soap isn't of interest, but just literally anything that seems out of place.
Anything that seems out of place. What is your search skill?
It's only 20.
20? I'm gonna have to ask you to go ahead and roll for me either your search skill or your intelligence.
That's a pass on the intelligence.
Pass on the intelligence. Scan the tiny bathroom for anything out of the ordinary. It looks like something has happened here. The towel rack's broken, there's shards of broken ceramic tile on the floor. The last thing you check is the shower, an old bathtub that doubles as a shower at the back of the room. There's a very tacky, bright green curtain separating it from the rest of the bathroom. You grip the corner of the curtain and sweep it aside and feel your mouth silently dropping open as you see whoever attended to Clyde Bowman in the immediate aftermath of his suicide did a valiant attempt at cleaning up the viscera that was left behind, but they were not able to completely mask that this is where he had ended his life. Seemingly baked into the sickly yellow tiles is a dark brown stain, consistent with someone having sat in the bathtub, put a firearm in their mouth and eaten a bullet.
Seeing this, Cass is in fact going to call out to Tabs. I think I found where this all happened. I'm
shit,
sure of it.
yeah, I'm coming.
I'm sure of it, actually.
As you grab the curtain and force it fully open the rest of the way to illuminate the bloodstain so that Tabitha will see it as she comes in, you notice something right near the plug hole of the bathtub, seemingly discarded, swept to the side, and probably missed by the first responders. A tiny shred of paper. Could it perhaps be a suicide note? You scoop it out, Cassandra, and bring it to your face, trying to make out the hastily scrawled handwriting on it in the dim light. And I'm going to bring it up in Owlbear Rodeo for you, so you can read along.
As Tabs enters the room, she's like, "Shit, sorry, kind of forgot that you're probably not used to that, eh?"
Yeah. As you step in, Tabs, the smell of death is unmistakable. Clear. If you'd stepped into the bathroom, you would have known as soon as you stepped over the threshold, this is where it took place. So, the note, as Cassandra strains to read it, says, "Her face, every night in my dreams. I tried my best to make my peace, to correct the mistake. I've lived with it for 12 years. I can't do it anymore. I know it isn't her, but couldn't bring myself to end it. I'm sorry. Whatever you do, don't listen. It isn't her." I will ask Cassandra at this point to make a sanity roll for me.
That is a failure.
Failure. That'll be a san loss of 1d3. You shudder as you fold the note in half and stare at the brown stain on the tiles, realizing that he sat in that bathtub and blew his brains out.
What you got there?
Cass just hands over the note. She's not sure exactly how to process any of this right now.
Yeah, Tabs just reads it over and is like, rubs her brow. Okay, not a stand it up then.
So, Tabs, no sun loss for you. You're adapted
Yeah,
to
I figured.
violence. It's a blood stain on the tiles. It indicates something happened here, but he's dead, he's gone, and there are more pressing issues. You scan the note and realize there was perhaps more to his suicide than Mr. Green understood. It's not as routine as anyone thought. Meanwhile, Mary, taking the study. As you make your way down the hallway towards the study, Mary, I'll ask what your human skill is.
Human skill, I believe this one's pretty good. That would be an 8. 80.
Human intelligence, the ability to understand and read people. You're a psychologist at heart, triage nurse for the mental ward of an inner city hospital. You speak to a lot of people who are going through some of the worst times of their lives, and you recognize when someone is broken, and that's what you realize as you make your way down the hallway. Bowman's placed pictures of himself and his family, hung them up on the walls. Pictures where he's smiling, surrounded by his grandkids, his children, at birthdays, Thanksgiving dinners, vacations. But there's a common thread, Mary, that you notice. The dossier said that Clyde was married, and yet there's a conspicuous absence of his wife in all of the photos on display. To you, it indicates grief. Grief that was never properly resolved. You step into the spare bedroom. It's being used as an office and for storage. There's no computer, but there is a crap load of files. 4 metal filing cabinets lined up against a wall, and against the opposite wall on the other side of the room, a big wooden bookshelf seemingly packed with various differently coloured plastic folders.
Oh, time to get to work. She'll put the phone on a lanyard and hang it from the door handle. And then start sorting through the files.
I'll ask, do you have the accounting skill?
No, but I do have bureaucracy, I
You
believe.
do have bureaucracy, so I'll say you can use bureaucracy or research, whichever one you would like.
Definitely bureaucracy.
And what is
No,
your
it's-
bureaucracy?
70.
70. Yeah, well,
You make a mistake filing in my profession, people get put away for the wrong reason, and that's bad.
yeah, part of understanding bureaucracy is doing the paperwork, and so you busy yourself. You start systematically cataloging everything in the filing cabinets, everything in the folders. This will take some time, so I'll move over to one of the others while you conduct your investigation. Adrian,
Boring bureaucracy.
the kitchenette. The kitchenette is mostly bare, with a smattering of cans, pans, and boxes. The only human touch is a crudely drawn human figure entitled Grandpa. It's signed Cassie and bears 2 gold stars from a teacher hanging on the refrigerator. Is there anything in particular you're looking for, Adrian? Any particular method of search you'd like to employ?
I guess things that should not be in a kitchenette, because it's probably just mostly going to find food.
Yeah, should be used to store food and maybe a TV guide or something. So, what is your search skill?
60.
See. You start rifling through the cutlery drawers. Nothing of interest. Pull open the cupboards up above the counters. Extract some plates and cups. Looking into the dark, deep corners of each of the cupboards. You even pull open the fridge, take a look inside. It's mostly empty, save for 3 bottles of beer and a cardboard box of, at this point, slightly mouldy Chinese food. The last thing you check is the bar, the little bar at the very edge of the kitchenette, on the border between the kitchen and the lounge room. You slide one of the stools away and pull open the compartment underneath the bar, begin rifling around within. It's mostly filled with shot glasses and wine glasses. Nothing out of the ordinary, but then as you're running your hand along the underside of the bar, you feel a portion of the bar bulge out underneath. Secret compartment. You kneel down, peer into the bar itself, and sure enough, it looks like somebody has engraved a little wooden box, attached it to the bottom of the bar, hidden it just out of sight. Stick your finger in the catch and slide it open, extracting the wooden tray. You pull it out, and in the light of the kitchenette, examine it. And inside, you find something most curious. It's a knife. Adrian, a knife, but not a normal knife. What is your archaeology skill?
I hope really, really fucking good. 60.
60. That'll definitely be enough to determine something about this. It's a large iron knife. Crudely fashioned, fairly primitive. The wooden grip and the carvings upon it indicate to you it's of Anglo-Saxon manufacture, probably from somewhere around the 7th century. Incredibly old. There are carvings along the rough-hewn wooden hilt. You recognize some of them as being of religious significance to a number of Anglo-Saxon tribes, but the rest of them appear to be utterly gibberish. There's an attachment at the very end of the wooden handle. It has the colour and consistency of bone, and as you hold it under the light and examine it, a strange feeling develops in the pit of your mind that this might be human bone. There's nothing immediately threatening about the knife, but as you hold it in your hands, you can feel almost a strange energy humming, vibrating on the tip of your skin.
Adrian sticks his tongue to see if it's actually bone. He licks it a little bit.
Oh, it's a freaky freak.
Yeah.
Hey, they actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to most certainly be bone. You thought maybe for a second it could be ivory, but no, it's bone. Either animal bone or human bone. From just the little tip attached to the end of the handle, it's really impossible to tell, but the knife looks sinister enough that you could see this being human bone. We will go to Joey, stepping into the master bedroom, directed by Tabs, conducting his search. Bowman occupied this bedroom. It holds a queen-size bed and a dresser, on top of which rests more photographs of Clyde and his grandchildren, high school graduation pictures of his 2 kids, a few baby photos of his grandchildren, and a ceramic paperweight of a child's handprint with the name Cassie, age 4, crudely painted on it. Curiously, one of the bedside tables has been removed in favour of yet another metal filing cabinet, almost identical to the ones in the study, but much smaller. Perhaps the contents of this filing cabinet are of more immediate importance to Clyde. What would you like to do, Joey?
Yeah, you'd probably start with what looks like the more important one.
Yeah. You slide open the filing cabinet and get to work. There's nowhere near as many files as what Mary's dealing with in the other room, so it shouldn't take too long. I'll ask you, what is your accounting skill?
Very good, if I remember correctly. 80.
80. Nice. This filing cabinet, as opposed to any of the ones in the study, appears to be where Clyde Bowman kept all of his financial records. It takes you about an hour to catalogue them, laying them out on the dresser in front of the bed, right next to the ceramic paperweight. It's mostly routine. Receipts from grocery shopping and other purchases. There's a couple of things that to you might indicate the presence of the Delta Green conspiracy, some money transfers to and from what seem to you to be fairly obvious shell accounts, but most interesting of all, among these financial records is a deed to a holiday cabin up in the woods about 2 hours out of Lincoln. According to the records, Bowman purchased it in 2002, 12 years ago. But there's no indication that he ever visited it. Accompanying the deed is a series of financial records for construction projects he commissioned on the cabin. The installation of a large septic tank and a plumbing system. According to the records, the project was never fully completed. Clyde never had the plumbing actually hooked up to the cabin. He paid the workmen what they were owed and stopped the project once the septic tank had been installed. In the other room, Mary is going through all of the other records, and there is a lot. Takes you the better part of 2 hours to finally get a sense of what you're looking at, Mary. This is where Clyde Bowman kept all the other miscellaneous records of his life. Academic transcript, correspondence between himself and his friends and relatives, computer printouts of subjects that were of interest to him, mostly concerning anthropology, Native American religious practices, and the like. Small smattering of the occult. There isn't anything here that to you, Mary, indicates that he was involved in a conspiracy, but there's one thing that stands out to you, and that is, hidden away in the depths of one of the filing cabinets is a form filled out by Clyde Bowman. It concerns the death of his wife, Marlene, in 2002. The first half of the form is him filling out the circumstances of her funeral and burial. Concerns a plot in the local Lincoln Cemetery, plot number 33. How she'll be interred there, the fine details of the service, but then, attached to this form is a second one. The second form, most curiously, is Bowman applying for the council permission to disinter his wife. It's filled out only a week or so after the service that had her interred in the first place, and under the reason for disinterment, he's simply listed relocation.
Patient where? Why?
Yeah, where and why? I'll allow you to all reconvene in a moment, but first, Tabitha, you're searching through the lounge room, and there's nothing much to find here. There's a well-worn couch which faces an archaic squat television. On the coffee table are a stack of mostly completed crossword puzzle books, issues of Sports Illustrated and Reader's Digest, and a box of unhealthily artificial donuts, powdered sugar, now crumbling and dry. But that's okay, Tabitha, because as you've resumed to conducting your search after convening with Cassandra in the bathroom, with your alertness of 60, as you step back into the lounge room, you catch movement out the window, peering out onto the courtyard. Across the parking lot at the apartment on the very opposite end of the premises, a middle-aged woman, slightly rotund, short, holding a leash in one of her hands with a very annoying-looking tiny yipping dog attached to it, wagging its little tail, is stepping out of her apartment and beginning to cross the parking lot, her eyes narrowed in curiosity at room 117, where you are, a brown noser. probably attracted by the commotion that Joey made earlier. You've managed to spot her and have a few seconds before she knocks on the door to summon the others and get a story straight.
Okay. Like she's coming straight to the door now.
Yep, seems to be. Doing her best attempt at looking like she's just taking the dog for a walk, but you know her type. She's coming to Brown Nose.
Tabs isn't going to do anything. She's just going to choose her words once she answers the door.
You
Just act natural.
Don't alert the others?
No. Is it likely the person outside would hear anything that Tab says right now if she yelled it to the house?
Probably not. The door is
It's
closed.
not that big an apartment, for their record.
Yeah, she might hear. Yeah, it's not that big of an apartment. You probably don't need to raise your voice too much.
We got
Not
trouble.
brown nosing having a sticky beak. Thanks, Glitch.
Yeah, legit. We got trouble. Just play it cool.
Mary belatedly remembers to grab her phone. Okay, are we going with the assessor thing?
Yeah.
Cool.
Speaking of which, where's Mark?
In the master bedroom, you hear Joey call out, "Here."
I'll answer the door. Just play it cool, alright?
You all assemble in the lounge room, taking your spots, one of you sitting at the couch, a couple others leaning against the bar, as sure enough, someone raps at the door. And I presume you, Tabs, are going to be the one who opens it.
Yep.
You
Can I help you?
Slide the chain open, pull open the door, and find yourself face to face with the woman. She flicks a lock of greying hair out of her face, and the first thing she does is immediately lean forwards, trying to peer over your shoulder into the apartment.
Can I help you?
My apologies, she says. I'm Mrs. Janowitz. I'm just walking my dog, Mitzi.
Strange place to walk your dog.
Well, Mitzi goes for a walk around the parking lot, and I take her up to the park at the end of the block, but, well, I couldn't help but notice there were people in Mr. Bowman's apartment, and, well, we're all friendly neighbors here, and, well, I couldn't resist, you know, the old saying, curiosity killed the cat. I just thought maybe you were Mr. Bowman's family. I thought I'd come over and give you my condolences.
Won't be necessary, ma'am. We're just here on a professional business.
You're not Mr. Bowman's family?
No, but actually, if you could pass my condolences on to them, that'd be fantastic.
She frowns.
I mean,
once again,
we'll meet them
Mary.
when we give them the report on his assets, but that'll be a while later.
I assumed that
before we do.
I assumed that it was just Tabitha holding the door ajar.
But Mary's like sitting there behind you, so
yeah, right.
She hears it. She raises an eyebrow and she says, "Oh, assets? Well, I'm sorry. Are you police or real estate or?"
Boss, you want to handle this?
Hello. Yes, you're an acquaintance of Mr. Bowman. Are you familiar with how many vehicles he had? We're still trying to track that down.
Vehicles? Well, he had that blue SUV. She whirls around, points at it. It's parked right there in the parking lot. I don't think he had any others.
All right. Still trying to make sense of a few Heelys. It's...
Sorry, I don't mean to pry, but I wasn't aware Mr. Bowman was in trouble with the law or anything.
He's not, and
he's,
really, this is professional business, ma'am.
His family just
Professional
wants an
business.
accounting of things. It's all. I'm sorry, unless you're family, we really can't discuss too much.
Counting? Oh, you mean for the inheritance? Count up everything he's got, make sure it's all there.
All right. So the SUV is the only vehicle you're of. Okay.
Such a shame that his children are counting up their inheritance already. They're like vultures out in the desert.
I really couldn't comment, ma'am.
So that's all it is then? What, you liquidators, lawyers?
It's difficult to explain.
I mean, yeah, it's not really that difficult to explain, is it, Mark?
Just quietly from like, oh right.
We're just making sure that the records match with everything. That's all.
Up to you if you want to flash a badge, Mark.
I think at this point, yeah, it's just like sort of like a quick way. So like it's a badge, but like she can't get a good look at it. Like, yeah,
Long enough for her to see that you're with the IRS, but she doesn't get a chance to read your name. Her eyes widen. She's like, IRS. I see. Mr. Bowman didn't seem like the type to have debts, but I suppose, given the unfortunate manner in which it was a terrible shame that he wasn't found for a whole day. A real pity.
No, it's about time for my break. Here's a pertinent file. I hand back what I found to Mark. Quote unquote, Mark.
So,
it is a little ghoulish, to be honest, but don't tell that to his kids. Technically, they're involved in this. That Mitzi, was that your dog's name?
see, the dog yips as it wags its little tail.
I'll kneel down, offer my hand, smile, ruffle its head. Maybe we could walk and talk, and you can tell me what you remember about Mr. Bowman. He seems like a good man from what I found. And to be
First
honest,
of
they
all,
don't need me here for the rest of this.
I'll ask. Joey, what is your law?
Huh?
Your law skill.
lore is 60%.
60%. And Tabitha, what is your persuade?
Just 20.
20. I'll go ahead and ask you to roll me either a persuade or a charisma, please.
Me, I'm assuming?
No. Tabitha.
Alright,
Okay.
charisma's a little better. It's 35.
Yeah.
That's fail.
Okay, well, we do have the law from Joey.
Yeah.
Mrs. Janowitz sort of frowns. It's obvious by the look on her face she's still not buying everything, but Mary seems to be playing on her curiosity, and as soon as you raise the idea of walking and talking, she lights up and smiles and says, "Oh, sure, come on, I'll tell you all about him." And it's
Mary's
obvious to you, Mary, that she's intending to try to get as much gossip from you as she can.
That I can definitely provide. Now that I've gotten a view of his life, I can give her some things that shouldn't mess up anything. That's what Mary's planning, anyway.
You excuse yourself from the others and step out into the late afternoon sun. Tabitha pulls the door shut, and everyone else resumes their search of the apartment. You walk down the concrete path alongside Mrs. Janowitz, the little dog Mitzi loudly yipping the whole way, excited by the presence of another human being. So, Mr. Bowman was in debt to the government, was he?
We're still trying to untangle things out. It's a case of one heir said one thing, another said another, and I don't want to go into it in case there has to be a court thing later. You understand it.
Oh, that's serious!
Well, Maybe not. When your children quarrel, it's not good.
Well, I thought that Sharon and Michael were very close, and oh dear,
I don't know
maybe
the
Mr. Bowman.
specifics.
Well, you know what they say, it doesn't matter if you seem happy, but behind closed doors. I'd like you to go ahead and roll me your humant, please.
All right, that I can do. That's the good one too. Roll. That's a 14 out of 80. That's a
14.
success.
As scenarios of family dysfunction begin to play in her mind, her eyes glimmer. It's obvious to you that
This
she's
is gossip.
built that this is juicy gossip, and she seems very eager to lay it on you. So you give her the subtle prompting to go on, and she says, "Well, all I know is that in the last weeks leading up to, Mr. Bowman was having trouble sleeping, nightmares, night terrors. He was taking melatonin and something else to try to solve the problem, but, well, it's not a big apartment block. The parking lot's not very large. There's a couple of nights where he screamed so loud I could hear him across the way.
Poor man.
I hate to think what his children were... Oh, I saw on the news, elder abuse, children bullying their elderly parents into... Oh dear, maybe...
I'm unsure if any of that happened. It's difficult to say. We'll have to follow up on that angle later. But that's an interesting point.
Who do you
Maybe I'll raise my hand.
Who do you suppose will be getting the vacation home?
Vacation home?
Oh, you didn't know? No, once or twice a year, Mr. Bowman would head up into the hills, into the woods outside of town. Said he had a vacation home up there. He'd go up there for a weekend at a time. Said he was hunting. So when I think about it, I never saw any guns or anything hunters would have in the back of his car. Now he's chalked it up to maybe he was renting something up there, or maybe kept them in his vacation home.
That would make sense. Huh.
But when he
When did
came
that start?
back, I'd say he left. He's been doing it once or twice the whole time I've been here. I've been here since 97. He moved in 2005, I think.
Did he have the vacation home when he moved in, or did he buy it later? Do you know?
I think he already had it by that point, she says.
Oh, okay.
Although I wonder, it can't be much of a vacation home, because whenever he came back, he didn't seem that relaxed. I hate to speak ill of the dead, but he'd always seem much more on edge when he came back than when he left.
It might have been something he did with his wife. And when she passed, maybe it wasn't the same.
Of course, his wife Marlene, she says. He never talked about her. All you'd have to do is mention her name and he'd change the subject, but I suppose you're right.
Yeah, I know what it's like to have something special that you do together, and then, well, when the other one goes, you have to do it alone, and it's not the same. Do you have anyone special, Mrs.
Janowitz. Janet Janowitz. She holds out a hand, it trembles, and you see an age spot on the back of it that seems to be almost as large as the back of her hand itself.
Lucy Law.
See, Law. I had a son, but we haven't been on speaking terms for a few years now, and...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's just how children are! Vultures, like I said, piranhas! He's just waiting for me to kick off the mortal coil so he can inherit everything I own.
Mine's 5. There's a chance to raise him better, maybe. Especially now that his father's out of the picture. But
Make sure he knows who his mother is, and you make sure you raise him to be a good son who respects his mother and isn't about to walk out on her when she needs him the most.
I'll try.
At
And
this
I'll
point,
turn the
Go ahead.
subject to her son and family and how ungrateful young people are to kill time unless she's got anything more to add.
She rants a little bit, you know. Oh, of course, this generation these days, in my day we had manners and we respected our elders and... But her rant is cut short as you reach the edge of the parking lot. Mitzi strains on the leash and... She looks to you and she says, "Oh, Mitzi's excited. We get to this point and she always tries to bowl me over and run to the park. So, well, I'll let you get back to your job, Miss Law, and..."
Thanks. It's really going to be quite boring from here. But thank you for the break.
"Please give my condolences to Mr. Bowman's family."
When I see them, I will. Thank you.
She moves away, the dog half pulling her down the path. "Stop! Mitzi! No, heel! The dog doesn't listen to a single word, and you turn and make your way back to room 117, hearing the yipping slowly fading out of earshot, along with the old woman's protests. You step back into the apartment to find everyone else assembled in the living area, and I would assume, have you all brought each other into the loop on what you found?
Would have done, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Tabs would have requested it specifically.
Yeah.
Actually, as Mary comes back in, she says, "Welcome back. Don't suppose you recorded that too?"
It's on the phone.
Cheers.
Mary, do you begin to
Saying
play
it
it back?
myself. Yes, from the beginning, fast forwarding through the apartment search.
Janet
Just making sure
Janowitz's-
there's no time anomalies.
Janet Janowitz's warbly voice begins to echo through the living room, and you all come to dislike her even more every second she goes on. At the end of the recording, Mary presses her thumb on the screen of the phone and slides the lanyard back over her neck. So, let's review. You've found, in your search of Bowman's apartment, some records showing some money transfers to and from some shell companies that may or may not be related to Delta Green. A very sinister-looking knife in the kitchen. What appears to be a scrap of his suicide note, and what seems obvious to all of you, the most important thing here, the fact that he owns a holiday cabin out in the woods a couple hours out of town that he goes to a couple times a year.
And his wife was exhumed and reburied.
Mm.
Well, exhumed. What do you want to bet she's at the holiday cabin?
The question is, do you consider the holiday cabin part of your operation? You've tossed the apartment at this... It's taken a couple hours. By this point, it's about 5 p.m. The sun will be going down fairly soon.
I think it should be, because the neighbor knew about it. And that means that there could be anything out there. And the kids will learn of it.
We wouldn't be being thorough if we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I wish we could call it quits, but you have to be thorough.
Sure enough, Tabitha, you whirl around, and on the ring of keys on the hook by the door, one of the keys is labelled vacation.
Well, look at it this way. It's unlikely that a vacation home will have many neighbors to come knocking.
Yeah, out in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere.
You know, most horror movies start this way, right? Okay, just say.
No, I was trying not to think about that.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
before you leave, I'll ask a question. The records that Joey found of transactions between Bowman and Delta Green shell companies, you going to leave those in the filing cabinet, or will you be removing those?
I'm thinking
we'll
we
be
should
taking
probably
that.
remove those.
Yeah, you would have been taking back to Mr. Green.
Yeah.
So, unless somebody has any objections, I assume everything is coming with us.
Did we find a computer?
There was no computer.
Okay.
Adrian, do you show the others the knife that you found?
Oh, he is fucking info dumping about this knife. He is so hype about this goddamn knife.
Then this knife is also coming with us, guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's going in the shoebox.
It's definitely not normal cutlery. And
It is ranting about, like, actually, did you all know that as the rumors of Anglo-Saxon human sacrifice were probably made up by Christians in order to demonize the pagan practices of the Anglo-Saxons, and everyone's just like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's no fun.
Actually, Mary is listening. It's making the drive go faster.
yeah, it will be.
I didn't know that.
Cassandra, I believe. Well, I'll ask because someone else might have it. Does anyone have anthropology of 40 or higher?
I believe that's a fuck no.
Nope.
Yeah, Kath does.
Yeah, fuck no.
Yeah. So,
Nope.
Cass, as Adrian retrieves this knife, hands it around to everyone in the lounge room, and gushes about it, you take it in your hands. You feel that same feeling of that hum of energy, almost like static electricity dancing on the surface of your hand as you clutch it. And you recognize the symbols carved into the hilt, ones that Adrian couldn't. This knife is of religious significance. The symbols indicate it was used for religious ceremonies only, and that, well, according to the symbols carved into the hilt, that this knife itself is a receptacle for the divine blessing of the gods. You hand it back to Adrian, I presume, letting him know this information.
Gingerly, yes.
So the question is, this knife, it's obviously not normal cutlery. I presume it's coming along with all the records you've extracted from the filing cabinet?
I would assume, again, like, unless there's any reason not to, everything would be going in the shoebox.
Yep.
Yeah.
Adrian, do you place it in the shoebox of the records, or do you keep it on your person?
Do you keep it on your person?
Yeah.
It very begrudgingly puts it in the shoebox, but it's kind of sad about it because that's not archival.
Cass slowly, gingerly places the lid over the shoebox and stands up, hoisting it under her arm. You step out of the apartment into the parking lot, and your job done. Tabs pulls the door shut and locks it. Your boots crunch across the asphalt as you make your way towards the car. The sky above starting to be tinted in a red haze as nightfall creeps on the precipice. So, Clyde Bowman's cabin It's a few hours away from his apartment by car. It's not difficult to reach, though. Once you move out of the Lincoln city limits and into the wilderness, you're overcome by this almost overpowering sense of isolation. The city, which, being a city of only 30,000 people, wasn't really that built up to begin with, gives way to outlying farms and homesteads, and before long those too are left behind as the highway carries you into the primeval rural wilderness of New Hampshire. You're surrounded by dense forest, nature that has been untouched seemingly for centuries, vast and uncaring. If you stepped off the road and beyond the tree line, you could very well be lost. You may very well never return. You may very well be consumed. And as you drive, the tension is broken somewhat by Adrian. Adrian, who's very excitedly regaling the occupants of the station wagon with stories about Anglo-Saxon human sacrifice in the 7th century AD and the very clear smear campaign created by the early Christians to tar them as nothing but evil savages. And yet, Adrian, you're the one who found the possibly human bone on the end of the knife. Night falls as you drive towards the cabin. The sky above, bright red, turns deep purple, and then grey, and then black, and soon the trees become nothing more than angular shapes on the periphery of your vision. The car pulls up to the cabin, and Tabitha kills the engine. The cabin itself is a little one-story affair at the end of a twisting dirt road in a clearing just beyond the tree line, surrounded by a mass of wilderness. The whole building is constructed of wood with a faux log cabin exterior. Just beyond the cabin itself, you can make out the shapes of two structures framed against the dark blue tree line. An outhouse and a shed. It's clear that no one's been at the cabin for quite some time, and as your boots crunch on the gravel as you approach it, that sense of loneliness that you experienced on the drive up here seems to intensify, amplify. As you approach, Tabitha, you have an alertness of 60, but does anyone else have an alertness of above 40?
Above 40, yeah. Oh, yeah, you said mine, yeah.
Yeah.
Adrian has a 50.
Adrian.
Cass has got 40 on the dot.
Cass has got 40. So, Tabitha, Cass, and Adrian, as you step up onto the patio of the cabin and realise you're now parallel with the outhouse that sits a few meters away on the edge of the tree line, you can see just beyond the outhouse a pile of dirt on the very edge of the tree line, indicating that the earth there has been dug up. Almost like a fresh freshly dug, still open grave. Up to you if anyone wants to check it out, but otherwise, Tabitha, go ahead, Mary.
Oh God, is that where he buried her?
Well, we should look into it.
Do you really think he'd do something so obvious? And why would he do it anyway?
Let's look into it.
She turns
Oh.
on the phone's flashlight.
Are you all
Adrian.
going to go ahead, Adrian?
Adrian's pulling out his little archaeology like pin flags that you use to like mark the area around like an archaeological site, and he's like, I got
Wow.
this. Like we can
mean-
dig this up.
Won't
You
need,
just
like,
carry
a
those
shovel
on
from
you.
the shed or
Of
something.
course. You
So
I
maybe
mean you
we
never
should
know.
check out. So maybe we should look at the buildings first for like tools. I don't want to dig with my bare hands.
Oh, I have tools.
I think I got a shovel in the boot, actually.
Adrian's getting a sideways look for saying I have tools.
I'm an archaeologist. It's my job.
Tabitha pops the boot on
Okay.
the station wagon. You see her kneel over, and a few seconds later, she whirls around, clutching a dirt-caked shovel in her hand. So, I'll ask the question, are you all going to investigate the disturbed Earth before you enter the cabin itself? Or are you going to enter the cabin, or are you splitting up?
We should probably not split up.
I would
At all.
recommend you don't.
Ever. Let's just look in the grave quickly and move on to the cabin. Outside in.
Tabitha leads the rest of you away from the cabin. You step off the veranda and crunch across the dirt. Moving towards the tree line, you move past the outhouse. The door of the outhouse is slightly ajar, creaking quietly in the wind as you pass. You peer through the gap in the outhouse door, and it's clear it hasn't been used in a long time. Just beyond the outhouse lies that pile of disturbed earth. And as you approach it, you find yourselves inwardly breathing sighs of relief. The good news is that this is not an open grave. Rather, you're staring at the hatch of what seems apparently to be a quite large septic tank. Most of the septic tank is still submerged in the earth. Only the hatch that would allow someone to climb inside has been unearthed. There's no window or any porthole that allows you to see past the latch, and the latch itself is wrapped in a very thick iron chain with a tough-looking padlock binding it together.
Maybe we should come back to this.
What? Too gross for you?
It doesn't make sense to me, and I want to see if there's a reference to it in the cabin before we open it up.
Nah, you're right. I'm just pulling your leg. Let's go for it.
Lady, I deal with a 3-year I've dealt with a baby, okay? I've changed plenty of diapers, little shit isn't gonna rattle me.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
I will ask. I'm gonna roll a d5. I'm gonna roll a dice and randomly select one of you. Go ahead for me, Cassandra, and roll your alertness.
Fucking RNG.
Alright, let's see what happens. That's a failure.
Failure. As the others take one glance at the septic tank, realize it's locked, and begin to follow Tabitha back to the cabin, you linger behind just a moment, your eyes drawn to that hatch that's been unearthed. There's something about it, something that's not quite right. Cassandra, what is your intelligence?
14.
14. And you work in construction. You're not a builder, not a construction worker by any means. You're a project manager. But you understand the basics of how a building is built. You understand the facilities that need to be connected and the general process. And as your gaze moves between the septic tank in the dirt and the outhouse a few meters away, you realize how odd it is for this cabin to have an outhouse and a modern septic tank at the same time. Your gaze moves beyond the septic tank, past the tree line, and there you can just make out the frame of an old stone well. You can see pipes leading from the well and digging down into the dirt around the well. You recognize that there's an electric pump in the well feeding water to the cabin, and that makes the inclusion of the septic tank even weirder. As you turn to rejoin the others, with your failed alertness roll, I will tell you that as you step away, you think out of the corner, in the very back of your mind, you hear something tap on the underside of the hatch. Tap, tap, tap. And then a rattle.
Yeah, Cass it will start and make a little squeak before, like, pulling everyone back outside.
Rushing towards the others. Cassandra comes running towards you as Tabitha's inserting the key into the cabin door, and just as it unlocks and Tabitha pushes the door open and it creaks open, Cassandra comes rushing up, her face white as a sheet.
So I think there's something in there.
Okay.
No, don't okay me. I'm serious.
Okay. So that's why he had it really locked up.
Wait, why are you so
Please.
cool about this? What do you know?
Well, you see, she points over at our IRS guy. Still learning names. Joey.
Joey, yeah.
You said you saw like a shadow figure on the video, right?
And the surveillance footage, yeah.
And it didn't look right.
Mm.
Well.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I want to take a look.
I want to search for clues first before we pop open that chain and see whatever's tapping down there, because that's frankly, I'm very scared right now.
Tabs just like her eyes glance around for a moment, and she's like, "Okay, let's look for a bit."
We're assuming the worst. It could just be the dirt settling where we dug things up.
Or it could be a raccoon stuck under there in a hollow. I don't know.
Would Tabs like Delta Green Spidey sense be tingling at all?
Well, when you were standing in front of the hatch, you didn't hear anything. It seems like it was only Cassandra, and only after you left her behind to head back to the cabin. You've been on enough operations, Tabs, to think there's two distinct possibilities. Either she heard something, or she didn't, and both of these could be bad news. Either way, the septic tank is chained shut and padlocked. You wouldn't be able to open it without liberal use of force anyway, so up to you if you want to go back and check it out, or see what the cabin has in store.
Okay. She's gonna go into the cabin with everyone else, and she's gonna take a look around, make sure the place is seeming okay, and then she'll deal with that on her own if it seems fine.
Sure. You lead everyone else over the threshold into the pitch black darkness. You reach for your belt tabs and pull out a heavy industrial flashlight. You turn it on, illuminating the inside of the cabin, and the beam of light sweeps across the single room inside, illuminating everything. There's a bedroom, a bathroom, a living room, a few closets and a kitchen, all sort of compressed into this single wide open square. Even from a cursory inspection, just having stepped over the threshold, turned on your flashlight and swept it across the room, it's very obvious no one's been here for several months. The cabin interior is quiet, and there are more than a few cobwebs dangling in the corners and from the rafters in the roof. Aside from the second-hand furniture and the very rustic decor, there doesn't appear to be anything of interest. Nothing immediately visible, anyway, not without a detailed search. But there's definitely nothing threatening.
All right, are you guys good to look around while I go check out the that noise?
I mean, I have no objections.
If you really want to split up, okay.
Well, I wouldn't normally encourage it, but I think the situation calls for it. Look, you shout out if you need anything, okay? Got the radio.
We do.
And so,
I'll keep in contact, okay?
Yes.
the rest of you fan out, searching the nooks and crannies of the cabin, pushing the furniture away, checking the cupboards, trying to find something, anything the Bowman left here, as he must have left something. Meanwhile, Tabitha, alone, exits the cabin, and as you pass by the station wagon, Tabitha, do you retrieve your special from the boot?
Absolutely.
Fold up the felt lining once again, retrieve the Spaz 12, slide the strap over your shoulder, cock it, make sure the safety's off, and creep towards the exposed septic tank. As you do, I'd like you to make a sanity check for me, please.
Okay. Oh, quickly, I believe my sanity would just be at 70 based on what the sheet auto-generated, unless something would have changed based on her background.
Yes, so your sanity's at 65, because you've got the violent veteran background. So yeah, yours is currently at 65. And your breaking point
The
is
sheet's changing it back, okay. That's a fail.
That's a fail, so that's going to be a loss of 1d3.
Okay. And that is... no, Google... 1d3 does not mean 1d6. Ooh, that's a 3.
3. So, Tabs, you've seen a lot of violence, a lot of gore. You've been deployed on the front lines. You've seen comrades die in your arms. You've seen them be blown into pink mist. And worse, things in your work for Delta Green. If there's something violent, some monster out there that's going to jump out and threaten to tear you limb from limb, you're prepared for it as you raise the gun. What you're not prepared for, as you scan for threats, is the sound of a feeble tapping on the underside of the hatch, and then a feminine voice, sobbing, crying. Is someone there? Please help!
Okay. She's going to treat this on face value like it is her coming across a captive woman, but obviously she's very alert to the fact that it might be something else. And she just says, "Ma'am, are you alright?"
My name is Marlene Bowman. I'm trapped down here.
Okay, so Tab's gonna she's gonna pull out her walkie-talkie and she'll just say into it, "Nothing so far. I'll keep in touch."
Tapping continues on the underside of the hatch. Tap, tap, tap. The voice lets out another sob. Please.
On that note, I was just gonna say that no, go on.
I know you're there. I can hear your footsteps. Please. You have to let me out before he comes back.
Okay, what I was gonna say is I don't think that would be enough to count, but that was her acting on the shielding others motivation.
Yeah. Well, never spent any willpower, but I'll keep it in mind.
No, just mentioning it. Ma'am, who's gonna come back? Why am I going American?
My husband, Clyde. He trapped me down here. He's doing horrible things to me. I'm in pain. I'm terrified. And he won't. He won't. She sobs again.
Okay, is Tabitha able to radio to a superior officer?
Cannot, but you do have the burner phone.
That's right. No, she wouldn't use that just yet.
So far for Tabs, this isn't anything that she hasn't dealt with, I would
just
say.
thinking she might want to report something, but yeah. Because obviously she's thinking about the note that Cass found.
Yeah, it says, "Don't listen to her."
Unfortunately, she's also motivated by morbid curiosity. I'm not sure that he's going to be causing any problems for you.
He's gone!
Afraid he is, yeah.
Then get me out, please! I need air! I need light! I need freedom! My husband was a sick man. He did something to me and I can't leave. I need help.
Is there a lock on the outside of the door?
There sure is. There's a big chain and a big padlock. The only way you could possibly open this hatch is by blasting the padlock open with your weapon, probably.
Yeah, okay. Look, I'm sorry. There's a lock on the door. I can't get you out quite now. Do you know where I might find a key for that?
My husband was always seeking terrible secrets. The foot locker in the cabin, he keeps all the secrets there. Please. He did something to me, I can't remember the last time I saw the sunlight.
Okay, I'll be right back. You hold tight, and she's gonna step away, out of earshot, and she's gonna just radio in. You guys see a foot locker in there somewhere?
Sure enough, I would like everyone else to go ahead and roll your search skills for me, please, and the number of successes will determine the number of things you find.
Super fail.
Super fail.
Adrian succeeded.
Adrian succeeded.
As they look, Tab's voice just comes in after a beat. Don't open it.
Oh, that's definitely a fail.
And Joey?
Yeah, no, that's a fail.
It's a fail. So Adrian's the one who finds it.
What Footlocker?
Adrian shoves the bed out of the way, out of the corner of the cabin room, and underneath you see 3 floorboards slightly raised over the others. Kneeling down, Adrian, you find them loose, and one by one you detach them and find underneath a military footlocker made of steel, rust flecking the edges, and a green triangle has been carefully carved just above the latch.
Oh my god, what could that mean?
And Adrian, as you're the one who found it, I'm gonna ask you to roll your power for me.
Okay. Succeed.
Succeed. You look over your shoulder ready to call the others, but your eye catches on that green triangle, and even though it's just an ordinary footlocker, something seems to reach out. Something unseen, and almost as if your body was moving of its own accord, your neck cranes back towards the footlocker. You feel yourself leaning down, your hands reaching out to grip the lid, when suddenly you shake yourself out of it and call the others over. There's an intense curiosity burning in your mind, something inside calling out to you, something that you need to see.
Talk to me. Anyone found it?
Yes, found it. It's, very, very persuasive.
Meaning?
I really want to open it.
Please don't open it. I understand. Can you describe it for me?
I mean, it's a footlocker, green triangle, and I don't like it.
So, as he mentions green triangle tabs, your background as a veteran Delta Green agent comes into play here. There's only one reason that a DG operative would mark something with the green triangle. What Clyde has done is marked this footlocker as what's called a green box. You've never seen one in person, Tabs. Never had the chance to. This would be your first, but you know what a green box is. There are some objects, some anomalies that are too dangerous to ever see the light of day, and yet too hard to destroy. And so, when those anomalies are found, the best way to deal with them, you were told by your old compatriots in T-Cell, is to hide them away in a green box, away from the light of day, where they'll never be found again. That footlocker is full of things that could not be, things that could be very dangerous. Many, many secrets.
Okay, I'm gonna need to reiterate. Do not open that. In fact, stop touching it for now, okay?
There is Look, this isn't my first time with this
Do
sort
we
of
have
thing.
to? But do we have to take it back to?
Look, I'm
Mr.
coming in.
Green?
I'll be right there. Just give me a second.
Okay.
And she's gonna just walk over there.
As you turn and leave, the thing that says it's Marlene taps once again on the underside of the hatch. Tap, 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 and lets out a sob. Please. You block her voice out of your mind as you stride towards the cabin with purpose. And a few moments later, you're with the others, standing over the compartment in the floorboard, staring at the footlocker, at the green box. And you feel it too, Tabitha. You feel that same burning curiosity that Adrian described, that need to know, that desire to just fling it open and revel in what's inside.
Something tells me we should be calling that phone.
Potentially. Okay, are you guys planning on sticking around
What do you mean sticking around?
with the organization?
We have a choice.
Yeah,
We do.
Yeah.
I wasn't given a choice.
I thought this was a once you start you can't stop sort of thing.
You're private citizens. You can do what you want with your lives.
That wasn't what they told me.
I don't think it works like that.
Okay. Are you
mean, if I can
planning
get
on
out, I want
sticking
out.
around? Okay, what you're looking at there is a green box. It's
Just
my
say yes.
first.
Just say yes.
No.
This one's got the right idea. Now,
What happens if I say yes? Tell me. What happens if I say no? Tell me.
what happens
so
if you
dramatic?
say no is that I just don't give you the information I'm about to give you. That's all that changes for you really at this moment in time.
All right, I don't plan on sticking around. I'll be outside.
Okay then.
And Mary walks out the door.
Mary, go ahead and
I'll
roll
see you while
a
I'm
with this
here.
fucking boxes.
roll a power check for me, Mary.
All right.
I've had enough of things digging around in my brain like this.
That's a fail.
If I could learn what it is, that would be greatly appreciated.
So, Mary, you want to leave. You tell yourself you want to leave, and yet as you turn and take a step away, you can't move any further. You feel that same burning curiosity that seems to have possessed the others, and almost as if your body is moving of its own accord. You stop, turn around,
I can't leave, can I?
look
Don't
Tabitha
really
in
have a
the
choice. I
eye,
never did.
and nod.
All right, fine. Say it and be damned.
Go ahead,
Alright
Tabby.
then. So as I was saying, this here is what's called a green box. Now I've not dealt with many myself. Shall we say interesting stuff is kept in these. Look, they're a bit special.
That doesn't
And by
tell
special-
me anything, really.
I assume you mean
Weird, fucking
Deeply-
weird.
deeply inhuman.
One way to put it. Shit that
Right.
shouldn't be.
Cool.
And so,
Like
They're a
gonna
lot more
open it.
secure than they
aliens
look.
or Jimmy Hoffa's corpse, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Okay.
and so if you're gonna open it, you need
We
to
are
be
not gonna
prepared.
open it.
Aren't we?
We are not gonna open this.
It's
No,
not.
I agree. Let's not do that.
All right. Well, we'll need to take it back to the guard to drop it off with Mr. Green then.
opening it would be one of those are you planning on sticking around things, you understand?
Got it. Let's just take it to the car and...
And yet, Tabitha, the voice of the thing that was Marlene echoes in the back of your mind. The key in the foot locker with the secrets.
So,
I rolled a power for myself and passed, so she's
Yeah.
not too swayed.
You're not too
did you find
swayed.
anything at the grave? More tapping?
Well, it's not a grave.
Sorry. At the septic tank.
Look, I did find something.
Okay.
Shit, there's no way around this.
Yeah.
Cass, was it? I think you found that note that you gave me.
In the apartment, in the bathroom. Scrap of a suicide note. Sure.
Yeah, I haven't forgotten about that.
Yeah. Okay, so, there's a room down there, with a locked door, and on the other side, I can hear the voice of a woman.
Okay.
Great.
And she's
So
going
I'm
to pass around that note to bring everyone up to speed on that information.
You all read it. The last words of the note seeming to linger heavy in the air. Don't listen to her. It's not her.
That septic tank looks airtight, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Oh, we would
I'm
be
calling
stupid to open
bullshit.
that.
That's not her. Let's bury it so with enough dirt that nobody can hear it tapping, and take the box to Mr. Green and be done with it.
I think we should probably fill him in on this too.
We will need to report this, yes.
Okay, yeah. Let's use that special phone and do all that and see if he agrees with this course of action.
This seems like an emergency. This is an emergency, right?
This is
What would Tab's intuition on that be?
well, you get the impression, Tabs, that when he sent you to catalogue Bowman's belongings, he was most certainly not expecting a green box to be among them, nor something locked in the septic tank claiming to be his dead wife.
Okay, I'll be right back, okay? Just hold tight.
We've got the deed to the cabin here. We can do some shenanigans to make it pass on to look like it got forfeited to somebody off the record, so his kids won't be able to touch it, so nobody else will have a reason to come up here.
That's good thinking. Let's put a pin in that, all right? I'm gonna go call the boss.
Well, let's bring the phone here. Let's all be on the call.
No.
No?
No.
I'm
No,
gonna
you said you
go call
didn't
the
want to be
boss.
part of this. You said you
Well,
weren't sticking
I
around.
want-
Okay, I'm gonna go call the boss now.
Tabs just steps out once again into the night, and anyone peering at the open doorway leading outside of the cabin, you see Tabitha there, her face lit up green in the light, the electronic light cast by the phone's screen as she presses a button and lifts it to her ear. Tabs, the phone doesn't even ring. There's no dial tone. There's just a beep, and then a click, and then Mr. Green's voice. Report.
Apologies for calling you, but look, we've got a green box.
Green box? In the apartment?
Yeah. No, not in the apartment. We've had to head up to it's a holiday house, right?
Cabin
Holiday
in
cabin,
the woods.
Yeah, there's a cabin in whatever woods they are.
Secondary location.
Secondary
Right.
location. Keys were in the apartment. Actually, a civilian intruded on the scene. Didn't see anything. Don't worry, that's all handled. But she mentioned the this particular location.
What's the nature of the green box? Are we looking at the cabin itself, or are we looking at a
It's a
container?
footlocker.
Footlocker. Wouldn't be much in it.
Yeah,
What's
well,
the one about
the green box is less immediate of a concern to me than how we found out about it.
Have you encountered anomalous phenomena?
I believe I might have. We found a note on the person of the deceased mentioning mentioning troubles with dreams, the usual, and a woman who isn't her, not to listen to her. Very vague, but easy to extrapolate from. There is, there is a voice in captivity around here of a woman who is pleading for help.
You've made contact with the entity?
I have spoken to her. I have not let it out of its containment, obviously.
In your professional experience, Tabs, is it human?
I have my doubts.
What do you believe it to be?
I don't have a lot of intel at this stage. Look, the main reason I don't think it's human is because it is far too persuasive.
Human-like intelligent entity. Okay. Well, obviously I don't advise letting it out of wherever Bowman has contained it. Reading his file, I can see that his wife, Marlene, has been deceased since 2002. Now, we pulled records on Marlene and found that she'd been disinterred from her burial site a fortnight after the memorial service.
Yes.
I think it's reasonable to assume that this entity is, or at least believes itself to be, none other than Marlene Bowman.
The evidence would corroborate that. I neglected to mention that the containment it is held in is airtight.
Airtight. Well, based on the nature of that, my advice would be to either contain it underground and ensure it cannot be found, or destroy the entity and its receptacle as thoroughly as you can. As for the green box, ordinarily I'd send a team to recover that, but, well, like I said, not a lot of resources going into this operation. Everything happened at the last minute. You're the only cell out there right now, and you're not gonna like this, Tabs. But remember, if you follow protocol, stay together, make sure nobody is left on their own. I want you to open the green box, catalog the contents, and if you deem them to be dangerous, dispose of them in the same manner as the entity.
Understood.
He doesn't say anything else. There's a beep and a click, and the line goes dead. And when you pull the phone away from your face, a message blinks on the screen. Service disconnected.
Mm-hmm. Tabs returns to the cabin, and she says, "Okay, K-Cell."
Everyone turns to watch.
Oh,
to
right,
look
that's
for-
us, yeah.
That's you. We have orders. Now, these orders come in two parts, and the first part, I think it is worth giving you a say in how we handle it. The container with the entity that we seem to be dealing with, we can either bury it and let it be handled later, or we can destroy it and its contents.
How do we do that without
Yeah,
That would
you
risking
require
say
some work,
things
you're right.
straight, like,
getting
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, we don't really have anything.
I'm inclined to agree.
I hate to say it, but I think we need to look inside that box.
That's funny you say that, because that would be the second part of our orders, is we have actually been expressly instructed to do so and to deal with them as we see fit. You want to start with the box?
Yeah. Seems like the place to start.
Adrian, you want to do the honors?
Might as well. And
Adrian.
it clicks open the footlocker.
As you place your hands on the latch and lift the lid open, something in the pit of your mind seems to relish the act. Yes, come, gaze upon the end of all things. Go ahead and make a sanity check for me, Adrian.
Okay. I passed.
Passed. That'll be a san loss of 1. As the Vietnam era footlocker clicks open, and you begin carefully to remove the contents in this order. A little cardboard box containing a neatly folded but incredibly bloody military uniform. Does anyone have history of 40 or above?
Adrian has 60.
60? And I believe also Joey has history of 40, doesn't he?
No. Because of the
Cass
last minute
does.
changes that
Cass
swapped.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Cass and Adrian, as Adrian lifts the box containing the neatly folded uniform out and places it on the floorboards, you can see that it's a Civil War Confederate soldiers uniform, but the blood still looks fresh. And Adrian, it's obvious to you it's not a reproduction. This is a genuine article, and yet it doesn't look more than a couple years old. The color is still vibrant, bright, the needlework still pristine. The next thing removed from the green box is an annotated copy of a doctoral dissertation titled Sky Devils, Archetypal Figures in Native American Mythology by a PhD candidate by the name of Callie Barr. The attached memo suggests that it was rejected by the University of Indiana, Bloomington in 1985. Somebody has scrawled across the title page of the dissertation in red pen, DG, do not read.
Well,
The next thing out of the box is something that Tabs immediately recognizes, though you're not sure what's anomalous about it. A grime-covered hand grenade, but not just any normal hand grenade, an M34 Willie Pete, a white phosphorus grenade manufactured in the 1950s, a war crime that fits in your hand. It contains 15 ounces of white phosphorus, with a small bursting charge to rupture the body and dispense the white phosphorus. It's supposed to fill an area with smoke, but anyone who's unfortunate enough to be close by when it explodes, well, they get burnt too.
Shit.
The final object, and I'm putting it up in Owlbear... Well, actually, it's 2 more objects. The next object, and I'm putting it up in Owlbear Rodeo, is an unmarked black VHS tape. A label on the tape simply reads, Pirate Broadcast, 12th of the 6th, 91. Do not watch. As you read this, I'll ask, does anyone have a cult of 50 or higher?
Tab says 20, but that's
Adrian has 50.
50? So Tabs,
Absolutely not.
I will say, Tabs, to you, the date registers as significant, but nothing else. To you, however, Adrian, who's immersed himself in occult literature, which mostly consists of UFO forums on the internet and sketchy
He's
message
not using
boards.
the internet.
Yeah, well, mostly concerns, old
He's printing that shit off.
magazines about UFOs and small newsletters for very bizarre individuals concerning cryptids and Bigfoot and things of that nature. The pirate broadcast of 12th June 91 aired on local TV in several jurisdictions in Vermont. You've never seen the broadcast, but you've heard the occult lore associated with it that suggests that this pirate broadcast was either subliminal mind control from the government or an attempt by extra-dimensional entities to make contact with our realm.
No, I won't. Okay.
The final thing in the box is a manila folder. I'm putting it up in Owlbear Rodeo. As you open the manila folder... Oh, that's the wrong one. As you open the manila folder, a bundle of very old-looking printouts branded with the logo of the CIA fall out onto your lap. Restricted handling, classified message, top secret, dated March 3rd, 1995. Classification, Delta Green, Niagara. 2, redacted. Attention, redacted. From H-Cell. Subject, Operation, redacted. This memorandum concerns the findings of the investigation into Redacted as conducted by Redacted. H-Cell has verified the existence of Redacted within Redacted and Redacted, known internally as the Arc Dream Project. As previously theorized, Redacted has acquired Redacted as a result of the containment breach. It's currently suspected that Redacted and Redacted, particularly concerning longevity of the human body. In light of these findings, H-Cell advises the following. 1. All remaining samples of Redacted discarded. Cease Redacted, effective immediately. And 3. Further activities under advisement by A-Cell only.
I don't know if I like the sounds of this redacted guy.
Again, with your occult, Adrian, the words Arc Dream Project stand out as significant. Top secret government project, Area 51 shit, or so you've been told, concerning the use of alien matter, extraterrestrial matter, to enhance human longevity and reverse death. You slide the report back into the manila folder and place it aside. There's now only one thing left at the very bottom of the footlocker. A plain white envelope with a green triangle drawn in pen in the top right corner. You fish the envelope out. Slide your fingers across the lip. Open it. And 2 things drop out onto your lap. A small brass key, approximately the right size for the padlock outside, and a handwritten letter, putting it up in Owlbear Rodeo. It reads, "To whom it may concern, if you are reading this note, I can assume I have died or become incapacitated before I had the courage to complete my final mission. You will find about 20 gallons of gas in the shed behind this cabin. Pour it into the septic tank beside the cabin and ignite it. You'd be happier if you didn't look inside. Please make sure that the remains are kept from my children. I'm so sorry. God, please forgive me. It is signed, Clyde Bowman.
Tabs just takes that note.
Well, seems simple enough. Let's not fucking look in there.
Yeah, I vote for pouring all this shit in there and dropping the gas in.
There's a slight problem. In order to pour the gas down the hatch, you'll need to unlock it. Open it.
We can just peek.
Wait, if it's a septic tank, wouldn't there be like a pipe piping into it?
Somewhere, perhaps. And actually, Cass, you probably know that working for a construction company. The hatch.
I was going to say, nobody
not
like has
the
a sealed
only way.
septic tank
Yeah.
that they go and take a bucket to.
That's probably smart.
Yeah.
The question would be, can you locate the plumbing and where it ends?
Can't be that far.
I mean, some of the paperwork earlier on
I'll check
talked
my
about
phone.
the
Do I-
construction.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
only
I'll
half completed. The plumbing was never actually connected to the cabin. It's almost as if he had the septic tank constructed just for this purpose. But to you, Cass, that indicates that there are pipes somewhere not connected to anything. You just need to follow them from the septic tank, dig them up, and you might have a way to get the gas into the tank without opening it.
Let me do a search. We've got the model of this tank, right? It's in the documents.
Sure is.
Okay, well, everything's online nowadays. Maybe I can find... Maybe some... Well, if not me, somebody else could find it. And I'll
So as-
Google pretty much the make of the tank.
So, what's your research, Mary?
Probably not enough. Actually, pretty good. 60.
60. So Mary turns her back, walks a ways across the cabin, pulls out her phone and begins to Google. Before long, she's scrolling through pictures of septic tanks, and while she tries to find what she's looking for, I will ask, is there anything else in the green box that anyone wants to do anything with?
Tabitha's definitely going to be wanting to destroy all of it, but go ahead.
I will point out...
Adrian wants
Go
to
ahead,
flip
Adrian.
through that thesis.
That thesis.
What were you going to point out?
Yeah.
I was going to point out that if anyone was so curious, on the other side of the cabin, just next to the kitchenette, there is a old CRT television that appears to have a VCR attached to it.
If anybody attempts to read or access any of this, Cass will be saying something very pointedly about it and getting involved.
You see Adrian's hands just sliding across the floorboards, reaching towards the rejected thesis on Sky Devils, the one that very blatantly says, do not read.
Yeah, Cass grabs
That
its
is in a way.
wrist. It says,
Hey,
seriously, it says don't read it.
I'm an academic. I have to read it.
Adrian, I'd prefer not to have to draw my weapon again today.
I prefer she didn't have to draw her weapon too.
Christ.
You seem nice,
Oh,
so I
God.
prefer not be pointing a gun at you, alright?
Do you understand how serious this is?
Oh, God, you're serious.
I understand extremely well how serious this is, actually.
And so what do you do, Adrian? Do you relent?
It pouts a little bit about
You
it, but
so desperately want to read that.
it does. It really, really does. But it doesn't want to get shot. And it's
It could-
American, so it knows that's a real threat.
Yeah. You could wait until everyone else is distracted, wait until their backs are turned, and then simply snatch the bundle of papers away, drop them in your bag, and no one need know.
No, Adrian doesn't
Yeah,
want to
good
get
luck.
fucking haunted.
I was gonna say, now that you've made a move, there are eyes on you.
Watching Adrian like a hawk, fair enough. I would say with Cass watching you, you'd need to roll a stealth check, and I don't think Adrian's very good at that.
Is Adrian very good at that? Nope, it's
Yeah.
shit at that, so it's fine.
Cass and Tabs watching him.
Its eyes linger on the dissertation, but it doesn't reach out to grab it again. And in the background, you hear Mary say, I found it! Mary, you bring up on your phone the operation manual for the septic tank, complete with blueprints of blueprints and cutaways and diagrams showing everything you need to know. The pipes can extend outwards of up to 10 to 15 meters, depending on the exact make of the septic tank. This particular type of septic tank is designed for rural properties. It's designed to be buried in the dirt on the very edge of your property. The pipes run underground and attach to the homestead. Which means... What's your intelligence, Mary?
I believe that's one of my good ones. That's a 14.
14. I would say you have high enough intelligence to make a reasonable guess that the pipes, if they were indeed never connected to the cabin, are probably in the dirt a couple of meters to the right of the tool shed. According to what you've seen of the septic tank, how deep it is in the ground, you imagine the access pipes would be about 5-6 meters down. Definitely two. Well, actually, no, not 5-6 meters down. I'd say about 1-2 meters down. I was confusing it with. I meant to say imperial.
Yeah, I was gonna
then I
say.
swapped it to metric in my head. Either way, they're down far enough that if you're only digging with your hands, it's probably going to take days. You'll need to put some elbow grease into it, but it could be done.
I mean, you said we had a shovel in the car.
You do. Tabs isn't holding it anymore, but it's lying against the wooden wall, propped up against the door frame.
Alright. Well, looks like we should be digging.
Don't ask why Tabs has both a shotgun and a shovel in her car.
Oh, don't worry.
It'd be weirder if she
Mary
didn't.
has drawn
There's
her
zip
own
ties as
conclusions
well.
with that.
These guys are
Yes.
Delta Green agents. They're going to figure out in due course
A
why
question.
you would have those two things. Yep, Adrian.
So, 99% of Adrian's job is safely digging things up.
Oh.
Would that be of assistance in this case to
I would
maybe
say-
speed things up?
What's your archaeology skill?
60?
Yeah, I'd say you could advise how to dig efficiently and where to dig to create a shaft that goes straight down instead of just making a hole that gets wider but only slightly deeper. And furthermore, you'd be able to advise on how to actually dig the pipes up without damaging them. After all,
Yeah.
if you damage them and break them, you might not be able to pour gasoline down them anymore.
Exactly.
Alright,
So,
well,
you ready?
think so.
Stand up. The contents of the green box still laid out on the floorboards, and Tabitha, the orders were to seal or destroy the contents in the same manner as the entity. So what will you do?
I mean,
You-
we could just light them. It's papers, right? It's mainly papers.
Papers and the Civil War uniform. Yeah, most of it. Nothing that doesn't look.
It'll all burn.
Yeah, nothing that looks
all
like it
sounds
won't.
flammable.
Well, those who aren't actually starting the fire can make a little bonfire.
You know what? I'll
Burn-
start. I'll
burn
do
the
that. That
contents.
sounds good.
Alright, so who's going to do the actual digging?
It's Tab's shovel, so...
Wait, no, I don't know how to start fires.
Well, I assume Adrian's doing the digging.
Well, he's advising, but someone's
Yeah,
going to
Adrian's
actually do the.
supervising.
Of
Someone's
course.
going to
Yeah.
actually do
It's a council job. I got it.
All right. So Adrian and Tabby will be dealing with the digging, which means Joey, Cassandra, and Mary, you'll be disposing of the contents of the green box.
I mean, just put them in a place that won't start a forest fire and use matches, I guess. I don't know. Shouldn't be too hard.
So you bundle the contents of the green box into one of your bags, hoist it over your shoulder, and step out of the cabin. You trudge across the dirt, and the first thing you do is approach the tool shed next to the outhouse. It's locked as you yank at the door handle, but sure enough, Tabby has the key. The same key that unlocked the shed fits in the lock, and click, the shed door opens, and inside you find the shed relatively empty, save for, as Bowman promised in his letter, several jerry cans of gasoline. And yeah, pouring the gasoline down the pipes, it's a low oxygen environment down there in the septic tank. It's not conducive to starting a fire. It's very obvious to you, at least, Tabs, that at some point, at the very end, you're going to have to pop that hatch.
Yeah, she's going to be getting everyone away from the tank before then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing we have a certain grenade that'd be very useful for
We do.
getting that started.
I feel like I'm not going to use the anomalous phosphorus grenade.
It's probably a good idea.
How are we going to destroy an anomalous phosphorus grenade without just exploding it?
Okay, so it's... Look, I've read enough SCP to know that pulling the pin is probably the fun thing that makes it go wacky.
Right. So you chuck it in the bonfire and run the fuck away.
Yeah, don't pull the pin, just toss it on top of the Confederate uniform and the papers and
Besides,
let it burn again.
a grenade would just burn on the spot then.
Yeah, I mean, it would still probably ignite, but not to the same extent as if you'd pulled the pin. As long as everyone's standing back, you should be fine. There'll be a lot of smoke regardless.
Oh yeah, we'll be getting them evacuated from it, no question. But it wouldn't do a detonation cycle sequence.
I gotta say, I'm worried about the microplastics from the VHS tape that we're burning. That shit is gonna be fucking awful.
Yeah, don't inhale that shit. So, you head to the patch of dirt where Mary's pretty sure the pipes would be. Tabs grits her teeth, digs the blade of the shovel into the dirt, and as Adrian advises, digs straight down. After about 20 minutes of digging, the tip of the shovel hits something solid, something metallic, with a clunk.
Told you to
Tabitha-
not get the fucking pipe.
Don't destroy the pipe. Tabitha uses the tip of the shovel to shift the dirt away, revealing the end of a single metal pipe. Just like a reaching upwards, curving towards you out of the earth, like a clenched fist. Meanwhile, everyone else heads to the front of the cabin, the big patch of dirt. I presume you don't want to light your fire anywhere near the tree line.
No.
No.
Fuck it, burn it all down.
Yeah. Someone with
Voice
rocks.
haunted.
Actually, is it like how dry is the forest at the moment?
It's September, so it's the middle of fall, so...
Oh, okay. Let's make that a fire pit then, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Joey, Cass, and Mary get to work digging a little pit in the dirt in front of the cabin, about halfway between the station wagon and the house itself. You pile the contents of the green box inside, the blood-stained Confederate uniform, the files, the VHS tape, and finally, the war crime. And then, everything unearthed, you're ready to begin. One of you's going to need to start pouring gas down the pipe, and someone's going to need to apply gas to the pit. Who's it going to be?
I mean, Cass is pretty excited about ensuring that this gets done properly. She loves things being done properly.
So Cass, you're going to be the one to drag one of the jerry cans out, spray it over the pile of anomalous materials, and give the order to set it alight.
Yeah, unless somebody wants to stop her.
Well, Tab's gonna wait on the setting of the light part, but you can pour.
Yeah, so she'll do so.
Yeah. So, Adrian, are you going to pour the gas down the pipe while Tabitha opens the hatch at the very end?
Kit?
Right. Yes, Kit muted.
Oh, what?
Are you gonna?
Sorry,
are
I've completely zoned out.
That's all right. Are you gonna pour the gasoline down the pipe while Tabitha stands by the hatch, ready to open it at the last moment?
Yeah, Adrian probably likes to smell like gasoline.
Probably
Oh
does.
god, it would too.
Probably does. You look at each other, and Tabitha nods, giving the order. Adrian immediately clambers down into the little pit you've made, dragging one of the jerry cans along with it, unscrews the end, tips the spout towards the pipe, and begins to pour. Glug, 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 glug. The smell of gasoline immediately fills the air, and it's exacerbated when, on the other side of the cabin, Cassandra unscrews another jerry can and begins to heap gasoline liberally into the pit that Joey and Mary have made. The gasoline sloshes over the materials, soaking into the fabric of the Confederate uniform. And as it does, the bloodstains seem to bubble.
Adrian is making all of these noises with its mouth, by the way.
Okay.
Who's gonna light? How are you gonna do this? Are you gonna light the fires both at the same time, or wait for one and the other?
That implies there's a reason to do it at the same time.
We would not be doing it at the same time. We'll do the fire pit first. It's a controlled burn.
So Adrian continues to pour gasoline down the pipes.
That's because there's a fire extinguisher in their trunk, is there?
Tab will go looking for one, actually.
Yeah. Do me a
In,
luck
the
check.
cabin.
Roll me a luck check.
Wait, what are you looking for,
Always
sorry?
50. Fire extinguisher.
Where's my luck?
Oh.
Luck
don't
is not
have
a
it, it's
stat
just
in Delta
50.
Green, it's just always 50.
Oh, okay. That's cute. I like that. Let me just roll that. Oh, that's a fail.
It's a fail. Looks like Clyde did not intend for any fires to be put out. You do another thorough search of the cabin and the shed, and there's no fire blanket or fire extinguisher. You're gonna have to deal with this.
Okay, do you use water on a gas fire? You don't, do you?
No, you do not.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Use sand.
Okay. She's gonna gather up a bucket of soil.
Soil would work okay, yeah.
Up a bucket of soil, leave it with the others, and then return to the hatch where Adrian is still pouring gas down the pipe. Glug, glug, glug. And then, Cass, you've poured the gas into the pit. The bucket of dirt is waiting between Joey and Mary. Looks like it's now or never. Ready to give the order?
Yep.
Nod. Joey reaches into his pocket, pulls out a match, strikes it, whoosh, throws it into the pit, and immediately it ignites, whoosh, You're buffeted by the heat as a huge plume of flame shoots out of the hole. And I know you've taken a fair distance, but I would like
Dodge.
Joey, Mary, and Cass to all make power checks for me, please.
Oh, okay.
Power.
Scary.
That is a pass.
That's a pass.
So in this instance, I think Cass would be knocked to the ground for the moment, stand herself back up, retighten her ponytail, and pull out a cigarette,
Pull out a cigarette as it burns. So as the
and just kind of watch as it burns.
as the plume of flame surges out,
Are you going to turn your back to the explosion now?
No, watching directly.
Alright.
Mary and Joey, how'd you go on your power checks?
Pass.
Pass. And Joey?
Mine is a big fail.
Big fail. Feel compelled to watch. You have the choice to turn away, but something tells you want to see this through to the end. You watch as the papers, as the files are instantly burnt to cinders. That dissertation that Adrian was so keen on reading reduced to dust in the wind, the flame crackling away. There's a loud pop, and black smoke begins to hiss out of the pit as the phosphorus grenade ignites. Thankfully, you're all at a safe distance. You hear a loud cracking as the plastic casing of the VHS tape begins to bubble and warp, and then the last thing left, somehow still seemingly immaculate, a neatly folded Confederate uniform lying on the top of the pile. The bloodstains are gone now. The only thing blemishing its bright colours is the black smoke, the grime, and the ash from the papers that have burnt to cinders around it. And as you watch, as the flames lick the tips of the uniform, and yet somehow it doesn't take. Joey, something calls to you. A voice in your head. Save my uniform, son! Don't let it die to the north! And you feel the most strange compulsion to reach into the pit of flames and wrench the uniform out. Mary and Cass, you see Joey begin to creep forwards, his eyes locked on the billowing uniform in the pit. His hands slowly reaching out. He keeps walking until he's at the very edge of the pit, and...
What are you doing? Stop!
The South will never die! Shouts the voice in your head, Joey. You feel your knees begin to bend.
I'll grab his shoulder and try to
Joey?
talk him down.
I have to save the uniform.
You do not have to
No,
save the
You
uniform,
don't.
Joey.
You have to burn the uniform.
So Mary's gonna try to grab him, stop him.
Grab him and talk him down, yeah.
Alright, Joey,
But if I have to...
what's your strength?
Only 10.
And what's your strength, Mary?
Hey, we're equal.
So I'll make you both roll a strength check, please, and we're going to contest it.
Awesome.
The tabs will intervene if necessary.
I passed
You
by 30.
Passed by 30, and how'd you go, Joey?
Un momento. But the way my rolls have been going, probably not well. Oh, well, it's actually...
we don't roll a lot in this game.
You
Well,
passed, but only by
the
16.
pass, but yeah.
Okay, so...
40 or 20, so I think I fail.
Yep. So so your strength at 10 would be 50. So how much did you roll?
I got a 34.
And what did
And I
you
got a
roll,
20.
man? 20, which means Mary, he's His knees bend, and he lurches forwards as if he's about to throw himself into the pit. You rush forwards, grab him by the shoulders, and pull him back. And what is your psychoanalysis?
I don't see that on here. But I have a
There's
human of
psychotherapy.
80.
Psychotherapy, I mean, yeah.
50.
50. Go ahead, roll it for me.
Yeah, alright.
Cass, as Mary rushes forwards and it's obvious that Joey's about to throw himself into the pit, do you do anything?
Success.
Yeah, Cass kind of chomps down on the cigarette so it doesn't fall out of her mouth, and kind of finds a spot to stuff some arms in to help pull him out.
Yeah. Rushes forwards, grabs him by the other shoulder, and the two of you, working together, pull him free of the pit just as whoosh, the flames lash out, licking where he was standing only a second to go. Joey falls backwards, babbling, uniform, and because Mary passed her psychotherapy roll, Joey, that means you get to make a SAN check to see if you break out of the thrall of that uniform.
Joey, it's okay. You can get another uniform. You can go buy one from, like, anywhere, really. No, Joey. Joey wants the uniform too.
Yeah, no, I want this uniform, apparently. It's 74.
74. So, Joey, you
Right.
lose 1d6 sanity. Go ahead, roll it for me.
Oh, good. Insane in the first session.
Only if you either get to your breaking point or lose 5 or more san in a single go.
Oh, well, that was a 4.
It's a 4. Ooh, you just narrowly avoided.
Yeah.
You thrash in their arms for a moment, gritting your teeth, and you want that uniform, and the voice that only you can hear is shouting at you to reach it. Don't let the South die, son! Don't let him die! And then you feel a sharp pain in your neck, and you pull yourself out from the depths of it. You're peering down at your hand, and there's blood on the tip of your fingernail. You've thrashed around, been thrashing around with Mary and Cass. They're standing there, still watching you, concerned, and somehow, in your madness, in your thrashing around and your convulsing, you've scratched yourself on the neck. You can feel the blood rolling down your skin, dampening the collar of your uniform, but somehow that was enough to break you out of its thrall. Your heart beating, thump, 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 thump. You watch as the uniform crumples, is engulfed by the flames, and cast away as ash.
Okay. Mary, Joey, back to the car.
Yeah.
Car.
Car.
Now.
Okay, works for me. Bye.
Cass, I'm gonna need your help with the oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? The thing.
The septic tank?
Thank you. Gonna need your help with the septic tank. Adrian,
Keep pouring.
you can keep pouring for now.
Adrian, what's your alertness?
That's an excellent question. It is a 50.
50. So, Adrian, as Tabitha barks her orders, and you hear the shouting just outside the rim of the pit begin to subside as the cacophony of the uniform draws to a close, you feel the jerry tank beginning to lighten. Within a few seconds, the last drops roll out, and you toss it aside, and as you turn to reach for the other jerry can, your ear passes by the tip of the pipe, and then you hear it. A sob. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to me?
Oh, for fuck's sake. We're not doing this again.
What are you pouring down? I can hear it. Please
It's,
let me out.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's Shasta. It's okay. No one gets that fucking joke.
I can smell gas. Gas. Are you going to burn me? Are you going to burn me alive?
Is Tabs seeing this interaction?
Abs, you're seeing Adrian pause for just a moment, clutching the second jerry can in his hand, but not pouring. And you can hear the sobbing coming from the hatch, but you don't hear the words.
Okay. And Tabs can see that Adrian is not particularly phased.
Well, Adrian, this is not the first time that you've been spoken to by horrifying voices that claim to be human, but aren't. Take that pipe, replace it with the screen of a CRT monitor, replace this dank pit with a desk in the family study, and you're right back there in your teenage years. But the question is, do you resolve to ignore the voice this time? Do you press the lip of the jerry can at the pipe and continue to pour?
Adrian is possibly one of the very few people that would be able to resist the voice, so I think it feels obligated to do so and keep pouring.
Just as well, I'll ask you to make a power check to resolve yourself.
Oh, fuck. What's my... Shit, I failed.
So, don't worry, it's not the end of the world, because in Delta Green, using a house rule that I've ported the pushing from Call of Cthulhu, you can push a roll, but in order to do so, you must spend 1d4 willpower and reduce a bond by 1 to re-roll the check. Calling upon your inner strength, remembering who you're fighting for, remembering who you won't let this happen to again, and push yourself to succeed at any cost. Would you like to do that, or will you accept the failure?
No, it's more fun to just fail.
More fun to just fail. You press the lip of the can up against the pipe, and you try as hard as you can to tip it to start pouring, but then the voice calls out again, "No! No! Don't burn me alive! Please help me!" And you stop. Tabitha, Adrian looks up at you, peering up from down in the shaft, his face white as a sheet. I can't, he whispers.
That's alright, mate. You go to the car.
You have a choice, Adrian. You can turn and leave this voice to its own devices, or you can push yourself to keep pouring, but if you do, that will be a sanity loss.
Adrian is gonna try to keep pouring.
You look up at Tabitha, see the resolve on her face, and continue pouring. Look, look, look. With each drop of gasoline, the sobs get louder and louder. And you lose 1d4 sanity, knowing that something in there is alive, and despite what the others say, sounds human.
Yes, who just hit their breaking point?
Ooh, you've hit your breaking point. Interesting. So, When you hit your breaking point, two things happen. You get a disorder that will come into play in future sessions, and you get a new breaking point. Your new breaking point becomes your current sanity minus your power score. As for your disorder, would you say this counts as helplessness rather than violence?
Yeah, I would say so.
The book suggests these as sample disorders: depression, OCD, anxiety, addiction, obsession, claustrophobia, conversion disorder, or DID.
Oh, claustrophobia would be a banging choice for this particular situation.
Yeah. Do you agree to that, Adrian?
Yeah, I'll totally go with claustrophobia.
You grit your teeth, force yourself to keep pouring, but the sobs get louder. The voice begins to beg you to stop, begs for help, begs for air and light. She begins to cough. I can't breathe, please. You're here in this shaft. The earth begins to seem to close in on you, trapping you. Above you, Tabitha seems to get further and further away, getting smaller and smaller as the lip of the pit rises above you, dwarfing you. I'd like you to add claustrophobia to your disorders, please, along with your new breaking point. And yet,
yeah.
you continue pouring more and more and more until the jerry can is empty. And then, Tabs, it's time. Both jerry cans are empty. The sobbing continues louder than ever before. You see Cass trudging over, meeting your eye, and you turn towards the hatch. What are you gonna do?
Cass, car.
You don't have to ask me twice.
Good. Adrian, can I give you a lighter?
Yeah?
Okay. Because I'm going to need to open the hatch on top of the septic tank to allow a proper burn. Which means I'll need you down there lighting it when I say so.
All you gotta do, Adrian, is drop the lighter down the hole.
That's right.
Well, don't have much of a choice.
It's
So,
strange.
You can say no.
fuck it, we ball.
Does Adrian say "fuck it, we ball"?
Of course he does. Of course it does.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, it's 2016. I don't know if that meme existed yet. but you know what?
2014. It might not exist,
Sorry.
but you know, Adrian's
Fuck it, we
unique.
ball.
We ball. It's sort of bizarre, slightly strange, slightly pathetic how slowly Adrian pulls itself out of the shaft, how it slowly makes its way over to you, Tabitha, takes the lighter wordlessly out of your hand and nods, standing in front of the hatch, arm raised, ready to drop it. As you lean over, stick the key into the padlock, and turn. And as you slide the chain out and wrap your hand around the hatch's handle, ready to pull, I will ask, what precautions are you taking?
Actually,
ringing
you say
out.
that
Yes.
Tabs
Yep,
would have
go
gotten some paracord from the car, and she's
Yep.
going to be she's going to unlock the hatch, but she's not going to pull it open until the time is right.
Time is right.
She's
You
going to unlock
spend-
it very quietly too.
Spend a few minutes attaching a length of paracord to the handle, and as you do so, the thing that claims to be Marlene wraps on the underside of the hatch. Rap, 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 rap. She's not talking anymore. She's just sobbing loudly. Occasionally you hear the word, please, please. Tap, 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 tap. You tie the paracord, pull at the knot. It's sturdy. Are you ready?
Okay.
As you pull on the paracord, do you have a weapon readied?
No, she's getting the fuck out of Dodge because that's going to burn hard and fast.
Burn hard and fast. All right.
The cord is so that she's not directly over the hatch when it starts burning.
Good idea. All Adrian has to do is drop the lighter in and run. And so, you meet eyes with Adrian and you nod. Are you ready?
3,
Tell everybody.
2, 1.
One, you yank the paracord, and with the sound of creaking metal, the hatch pops and springs open. You hear a scream of something bestial, something not quite human, and as you teeter over the edge of the hatch, Adrian, do you peer down? Peer down to make sure you're dropping the lighter in the right place.
Nope. Adrian closes its eyes and it drops the lighter down, because fuck looking down there.
Yeah. Adrian stands on the edge, its eyes clamped shut. It lights the flame on the lighter and drops it. Steps away. If Adrian had deigned to peer down into the hatch, what he would have seen, huddled weakly in the shallow water, was a hand reaching up. On first glance, she would have looked like a small, somewhat misshapen, nude woman in her late 50s, her flesh grey-blue, most of her hair torn out, her hands blood-stained, the flesh on them stripped by constant clawing at the walls, her feet and lower legs swollen from frequent immersion in water, the skin slowing off with alarming frequency. And yet somehow she lives, but not for long, as Adrian jumps back, falling off his feet, landing with a thud on the dirt. Tabs pulls the paracord, and just as you see a skeletal hand scrabbling at the lip of the hatch, as you see the misshapen form of that which was Marlene start to pull itself out of the hole. Thump! The lid slams shut. The flames begin to burn. Her dying gasps and pleading shrieks are hideous, horrified, and plaintive. They go on for so long. She screams and croaks far past the time when her voice should have been silenced by the scorching fumes. Gradually, the screams become a high, strange whine, nothing produced by a human voice box, something bestial, something other. It rises beyond the limits of hearing into silence. And Adrian, the one closest to the septic tank, in the exact moment when the screams stop, you see it, flicker of movement out of the corner of your eye. Something black, incorporeal, something human and yet non-human, flittering with blinding speed across the dirt towards the tree line and disappearing into the darkness. That which is Marlene is no more. Tabs, you are adapted to violence, so you only lose 1 san point for burning something that at least appeared to be human woman alive.
Okay.
You know you've done the right thing. It may have appeared to be human, may have tried so very hard to convince you it was human, but Clyde Bowman knew it wasn't. Knew that thing wasn't his wife. And you do too. Adrian, as you return to Tabs, you look utterly broken. What do you say? In the silence, after the screams have subsided.
I just hope that we made the right decision.
Tabs just looks it in the eyes and just nods.
And then you turn, motion for Adrian to follow as you trudge through the thickening black smoke towards the car, towards the others. And the nightmare is left behind. And so, Operation Aftermath comes to an end. Tabitha and Adrian silently slide into the vehicle, saying nothing as they do, but the grim look on their face tells the rest of you all you need to know. Your eyes...
Actually, I was going to say Tabs would enter the car and be like, she'd sit down, and after a beat, she'd say, well, that was a fun trip, wasn't it? It's very forced, obviously.
Forcing the smile, but the gaunt look on her face, the sunken eyes, tells the rest of you that what happened was as far from fun as it could possibly be. Does anyone force a laugh?
Adrian does. Adrian very painfully laughs, but it's very quickly fades into just like, meh.
And the rest of you, your eyes sunken, your faces hollow, shadows behind your eyes, haunted by things that you'll never forget, simply exchange wordless glances as the station wagon's engine roars to life and Tabs begins to reverse down the dirt driveway into the darkness, into the wilderness. Swallows you up, and you leave the cabin, the thick haze of black smoke. Your first operation behind. The next day, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, you're once again assembled in that featureless meeting room in the Lincoln post office. Mr. Green is there. As he walks in, he stops, meets each of you in the eyes, registers the looks on your faces that tells him everything he needs to know about the operation. He clears his throat. The operation was a success, I take it?
Yes, it was. Got a little bumpy there, especially for a first-timers, but they did well.
The entity is contained. The contents of the green box as well.
Contained, no. Neutralized, yes.
So long as there's nothing in that septic tank when Clive Bowman's children show up there sometime tomorrow to inherit their new family vacation home.
Look, they might find some scorch marks.
About that, we've got the deed right here. We could probably I don't know, work up some legal confusion with it to make it look like there was some shenanigans and the place gets confiscated and condemned.
Stop it from falling into their hands? He
Or at
smiles.
least delay it until you can get somebody else out there to plow it under.
You'll need someone who's good at paperwork, someone who's good at pulling strings, covering things up. It just so happens that K-Cell has a person who's good at those things. He glances over at Cassandra.
Well, I don't know the legal system, but
I'll help
I don't
you.
know, maybe I could try something.
Play with some records, obfuscate a money trail. You juggle deeds and real estate all the time. Construction company. You know how to make it fall into community hands. Make sure it's quickly and swiftly acquired by a fellow construction company that just so happens to be part of our organization. Think you can handle it?
I mean, I can try. This really isn't my wheelhouse, but I guess I'm the most competent here.
All I need is you there on the inside, ready to snap the thing up when it goes on the market. We'll need someone else to obfuscate the money trail. I hear there's unpaid taxes on this vacation cabin. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? He turns towards Joey. Shouldn't be too hard, right? Liquidate the asset, get it out on the open market, and then Cassandra here will make sure her company, our company now, snaps it up. Think you could do that for us?
Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard, yeah.
Good. Get used to thinking like that. Your day job is not just your day job. You are now agency assets, and that includes what you do for a living. Always try to cover your tracks, he says. Don't let your bosses in on what's happening. Don't let them suspect that you're doing anything outside of the ordinary, but you're in those positions of power. Sometimes you gotta take the risk. So, I'll leave it up to you to decide if you're willing to do that. The high-ups will be pleased with your performance. I expect A-Cell will give the go-ahead to activate you and have you brought into full service. That means more operations.
Actually, on that matter, I'd like to speak to you in private, if possible.
Sure, he says. He gestures towards the door.
Have you read my full report?
He nods. You're specifically asking about
Joey.
Joey.
Huh?
The uniform?
The uniform, yeah.
He nods, motions for you to follow him back into the room. More operations. Probably worse than what you've had to deal with so far. I need to know one thing. He peers down at Joey. You've seen what the unnatural can do. You've felt it in your head. Are you prepared to go through that again, this time to fight, knowing that you are the first and last line of defense between them and everyone else? Are you prepared to follow protocol to the letter and risk your life to prevent unnatural incursions?
Yes. Now that I've experienced it, I'd be a little more prepared next time.
Good. I'll be holding you to that.
Next time, says Mr. Green. Next time you feel yourself about to jump into a raging inferno because an anomalous object made you its thrall. If you pose a danger to yourself or anyone else, he turns towards Tabitha, then to everyone else, meeting your eyes each in turn. If an agent in your cell is compromised, you contain the threat. Do you understand? Take your silence as a yes.
We did that.
You did.
It's
And you
fine.
did well. You did well. But there'll be more to come. Things you cannot yet imagine. Remember, your lives mean nothing. You mean nothing. Henceforth, you belong to the agency. And you will give anything you can, anything we tell you to, because now you've seen it with your own eyes. Now you've experienced it. You know that if you don't, terrible things await. The very existence of the human race depends on it. Then, his gaunt face twists into a smile. He pushes the frame of his glasses up his nose. It's not all doom and gloom. You did well, better than I expected. Especially when you were given a simple cleanup job that had to turn into something so much worse. So many potential things that could have gone wrong, and you stoically stuck to protocol the whole time. Even when something inside you, that human part of you that still remains, was screaming at you to stop. Welcome to Delta Green. He smiles. Go back to your lives. Pretend none of this happened. But be ready. Because the unnatural does not rest, and nor should you. When we need you, we'll call you. And with that, he turns, steps out of the boardroom, and pulls the door shut behind him, leaving you alone to reflect upon your new life.
Don't take the your lives don't matter thing too seriously. It's don't worry about it.
And we'll leave it there.